All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, as every week, this is number 76, episode 76 of the From the Sidelines podcast. We're coming to you with a brand new episode, and well, we're all excited. We've been buzzing, talking about our guests we got on the show tonight, which we will bring to you in just a few short minutes. But we got to get all the regular stuff out of the way first. Let's bring in our other host, Brando. Baird, what's going on, man? You're below me tonight.
Hell yeah, I'm good. Excited. Looking forward to this one. I can finally feel my toes after this repping this mech event this past weekend. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited.
All right, well, let's bring in our other host. We got Steven Hatch. What's going on, man? Up top left.
Dude, I'm great. I'm trying my best not to fanboy. Dude, 10-year-old me would be freaking out right now. Not even messing with you. But
I think that's kind of the state all of us are in, trying to keep it together. Be professional, that's what we're doing tonight. Before we get going into this, and we're going to try to jump right into this, we got to mention our sponsors who help us put on the show every single week. We got NECTR Energy, the awesome boys over there at NECTR.energy. That's the website if you want to get more information. Check out all their great flavors. It's the energy pouch that's going to keep you picked up. We appreciate their sponsorship and their support. So NECTR.energy, go check them out. We also got Liquid IV, the great hydration multiplier, great hydration product if you're trying to stay hydrated at the field. And if you're playing paintball any time of the year, you're going to be sweating, you're going to be losing a lot of fluid. So replenish them out at the field using Liquid IV. Promo code over there is Mafia_Mafia for 20% off and free shipping. And last but not least, we definitely have weltsclothing.com. Head over to weltsclothing.com. Use code FTS. You're going to save a couple dimes. And yeah, it's going to get to you pretty quick. Brandon's been doing some shipping through them, so hopefully we'll have some stuff soon from them. There's been a funny story going on in the background. But yeah, so shout out to Welts Clothing one more time. weltsclothing.com. Head over there. All right, guys, that's all three of the sponsors, and those are your two co-hosts. Let's bring in our guest for tonight's episode. We've got the one, the only Maddy Marshall is in the building. How you doing, Maddy? Welcome on in. We got to get the applause going. Yep, there we go.
I was about to say that.
I'm doing absolutely great. Stoked to start the new year, and yeah, man, excited to talk to you guys. So what would you like to discuss?
I mean, we've got a lot. There's a lot of buzz going into this new year with paintball. I mean, there's been a lot of off-season podcasts that's already been going down, talking about new media things, new ways to kind of broadcast the game and stuff like that. I kind of wanted to start it out. I mean, let's go back to the beginning just a little bit, because it's a story that I don't know if I've heard you talk about in many other places. But how was the transition of going from being, the player of the game to transitioning into now being known as the voice of paintball? When you were first trying to get onto the the commentary booths and try to try that side of the game as well, what was that transition or story like for you?
Well, it's kind of funny because this wasn't something that I even really ever necessarily wanted to do or pursued, which may sound kind of strange, but it was all just weird twists of fate and just little fortuitous events that kind of just set it up that it's something I kind of had to do. So I had, was in Push and Sunday Drivers as a character, as a pro paintball player, Patrick Spore's films. So we did Push, and then, we got to know each other a little bit. And then he knew I was going to school to be a writer. And then he hit me up and he was like, "Hey, I want you to write the intro to Sunday Drivers, or this new film I'm working on." And I'm like, "What do you want me to write?" He's like, "I can't really tell you what to write. I just want you to write your experience." So I did that. It went over pretty well, which was just, that wasn't my idea. That was Pat's idea, and I was happy to oblige. And so that was interesting. And then did that, and then was also started writing for Paint Magazine and traveling all over the place. And we were sponsored by WDP, which, Ryan, that was an awesome history that you did. That was epic. I watched all of it, and I was a fan of it. I was super good. I thought you did a great job. Because that was a lot of my life, was kind of living that time period. And so WDP sponsored us on the Ironman for a while. And then I also went overseas in 2001 and played with Joy Division in Europe. Mm-hmm. And so I really got to know those guys pretty well. And then I was at the very first Huntington Beach in 2003. And I was helping them set up their booth, and we were just kind of drinking some beers and hanging out. And Bart went away, not Bart Yakimek, but the Bart that ran Pure Promotions at the time. Mm-hmm. British guy, awesome dude. And he walked off. He was on the phone. He was all pissed off. And then he comes back and he's all, flustered and kind of like pissed off. And then somebody was like, "What's up?" And he's like, "Fucking Will can't." Now I can't do a good British accent, so I'm not even gonna try. But he was, basically say he's like, "Oh, Will can't make it." Like, Will who? Will Arroyo, because Will was gonna come and do because he was kind of his stick at the time, So he was gonna come and do the commentary for Huntington Beach. And he's like, "Yeah, Will can't make it." And then he looks right at me and he starts smiling and he goes, "Matty, you do it. You'll be perfect." And
Wow.
I was like, "Do what?" I was like, "I don't even know what you're talking about, bro. Like, I'm not even sure what you want me to do for you." And he said, "Well, Will Arroyo was going to come. So this is the first of these. We're bringing in a camera crew to film it. We're going to create a TV show around it. We've already got a main host, guy I ended up becoming good friends with. His name was Mike Ricker. He was like a big time radio DJ down in Tampa. And so he was going to host the show. He's like, but we need somebody to do like play by play and color, like a pro that's current. And, there was that big split at the time. So the only reason we didn't play that is because we were contractually liable to play in the NXL at the time because they were trying to go for a TV deal there. So, and Huntington Beach is close to San Diego. So I just drove up to hang out. So,
yeah,
and
watch
so
your friends play essentially. Then
exactly. And that's what I told him. I have told the story a couple times before. So, necessarily, but this is the story. And that's what I told him. I literally said, "Bart, dude, like, I appreciate that, but I just wanted to come up here and watch my friends play paintball and drink beer."
Yeah.
And he said, and no bullshit, and I quote, "Yeah, you can do that and we'll pay you." And I was like, "All right, well," and I was still on the fence about it. And then he said, "All right, well," he's like, "Talk to our producer, Michelle. She'll be here later." So I talked to her and, we kind of came to a deal. And then I, went out with the Joy Division guys that night, got a little too hammered, showed up for work, hungover the next morning, and that was the rest is history. So that was
Let's go. Yeah. No,
That was amazing.
So that's that origin story there. And then because I did, felt I did a decent job, so they invited me back. So that year I would go to I would play the PSP events and NXL events, and then I would go to the MPPL events and host those shows. On doing on-air commentary, or not, because we did that commentary actually during that like live while the game was playing, which was that was a weird event. The first HB was crazy, but then I would go and do the house mic announcing for the MPPL that year in 2023, and then I did that in 2024 as well too, and when it got on the first ESPN show in Miami, because we were in 2005. Chuck Hench hit me up. He's like, "Hey, can you, I know you're playing, but do you think you can swing double duty? And do you think, because we're just going to film it and it's all going to be in post-production. So we'll fly you to New York and, go into the studio, the production house studios and do it there in post-production. But we have to do all the opens in between the semifinals and the finals." So I was like, "Yeah, sure." I mean, I'm a broke, starving pro paintball player, so I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I just got used to saying yes to a lot of this stuff and tried to do the best job I could." And then so I said yeah, and but we at the time we were trying to get it so we had two pro teams, so we had Excess Energy and Excessive, and so New York Energy, whatever at the time. But so we go in and so if we win the semi-pro, then we get the pro spot, and then the next year we'd have two pro teams and it would give us leverage. So that was the plan. And then we ended up winning Miami. So I had to, we're about to head into the finals and it's starting to get dark too. So I had to de-gear, put street clothes on, go out and then shoot all the opens for that. And then go back, put gear on. And then we won that tournament.
Wow.
And then we had two pro teams, and then we took first and third at Huntington Beach the next year. So yeah, that was cool.
Crazy turnaround time on that.
That is crazy.
Yeah, that was pretty wild.
Yeah, well, and I was gonna say, that makes sense because the MPPL was, they were able to secure that ESPN deal, and that kind of, it just kind of seems like you were at the right place for that Huntington event, and then the snowball kept rolling downhill, and and then I'm guessing from that experience, PB Access probably wanted to help bring you on, or did you have a part in PB Access? What was the relationship there?
Yeah, I helped start that. That was kind of
okay.
Was one of the main guys when we started that. That was when Patrick Spohr came to me in like 2000. This is part of the reason I retired, because even though I was only in my late 20s when I stopped playing, But I'd kind of done everything I wanted to do and did everything I wanted to do as a player. And then, technology was changing so much. So I, kind of always would, I'd work with Pat on a lot of projects that had been successful. So at least, creating something that that people want to consume. So Patrick came to me and he's like, hey, I know you worked on all these TV shows, but I feel like I could do this live. Webcast. It's a webcast. It's a new technology. This is late 2000s.
Wow.
And so he's like, so all this, you've called all these gigs in post-production. Do you think you could do it live? Well, again, just get used to saying, yeah. Sure. Fucking A, I can do it. Let's
try
do it.
Try it out.
I'm pretty sure I could do it. Let's try it. So then went to the PSP at the time and convinced them to put the money up to do the webcast, which was I was probably one of the gnarliest weeks I've ever had, man. Like, we didn't sleep, and it was just the tech was very unadvanced compared to what it is now, and that was a very, very rough week. But we did the show, and it worked out. And then, but it was still, because it was new, and the power structure at the time didn't really necessarily want to fund it. So and then that was also during the Great Recession. And things got crazy then, which was kind of a rough time for me because I was at the time had like personal sponsors and was traveling around playing big games and doing all this media stuff. And then, JT goes out of business, Spark Parts goes out of business, or had to that was a rough year. So kind of things had to get jostled around. So, but it took a while to get everything back on track from the industry standpoint. And as that tech was rapidly changing, and then so then everything kind of got worked out, and we started doing live webcasts for the PSP. Did that for a little bit, like a year and a half. And the PSP ownership, all that stuff was changing. And then Dave decided that Dave Youngblood, he wanted to do a, like a media company starting to focus on paintball, but he also wanted to do some other stuff.
Okay.
Then he bought a bunch, but then he bought, other companies as well too. And he was going through stuff. And then, so then we had to figure out a business model, which is why we went to pay-per-view, which was scary as fuck at the time, but it worked out. And then Richmond comes in, and then the NXL PSP split. Again, this is like, I fucking spend like just hours.
Yeah, I was like, this is, you've already covered 10 or so years and definitely have answered my question for sure. But it is such an interesting story because it seems that, like you said, it's just this continual, I'll do that. Okay, I'll do that. And it's kind of, culminated to where we are now where, you've taken on this figure of being the commentator for years and also, the narrator for a lot of great projects throughout the years. Is that come from your love of writing? Like, is that where a lot of that stemmed from? Or I guess where has that, was there something, I guess, as like a kid that you were like, yeah, I knew I want to kind of, speak, use spoken word, or was there none of that? No, it was.
No, okay. I was the last kid to put his hand up to speak in public. And I mean, I wasn't necessarily scared of it. It just I never was the like, look at me kid, always a little, I'm extroverted in some ways, but introverted in others. So, but I never was that guy. I mean, I like being the life of the party. I like telling stories.
Yeah.
I really like hanging out with people in groups. But as far as all this media stuff, I mean, the one thing that I did pursue, because most of the video stuff, I mean, there's some things, and obviously I've been involved creatively of like trying to steer things from like a creative direction standpoint. But the stuff that I really did dive into, because I kind of fell into writing as well too. I was, going to San Diego State. I was a business major. I was managing a movie theater. I was working like 3 jobs, trying to graduate college and trying to play pro paintball and, just
trying to make it work, essentially.
Trying to make it work, trying to have a badass social life too. We partied a lot back in the day, so traveling a lot. So it was just kind of a lot going on. But once I kind of fell into writing, just took a class on a whim. I'd always been a reader. I'd always loved reading books. But never really, like, I used to hate to write essays, in English class. I never really got, like, stellar grades in English. And reading comprehension, and that type of stuff and discussing the material. But as far as, like, creating it, it just was always, like, chip and granite. Never really, it was not something I wanted to do. But then because people kind of that knew me well at the time, they're like, dude, you should take some English classes or some writing classes. Like, you tell a hell of a story. And I was like, all right.
Learn how to like format it, get it down on paper, and
so I took a class and got lucky that I got a really badass teacher. Her name's Lydia Yuknovich. She's a pretty well-known fiction writer from the Pacific Northwest. we had some pretty sweet experiences. She like let us have our own class with these other poets that were getting their master's degree that had to took this class for like a credit. And then she's like, hey, we'll do our own, let's just do our own class. We'll meet every other week. Don't worry about a grade. We're just going to talk about art, literature, do whatever, that sort of thing. So it's super cool. Yeah, she was awesome. But she was the first person that kind of, used to tell me, she's like, I really love listening to you read. No one had ever told me that before.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So it was just, again, it's like affirmations. This is life, man. Like you live life, you do things, and you get, negativity or positivity from the world. Sometimes you really want to do something and you can push through a lot of negativity to accomplish that thing that you wanted to do. But a lot of times, whatever your aptitude happens to be, your whatever you're programmed to kind of be good at. The world just starts giving you, I don't want to get too woo-woo about this or some crazy bullshit, but the world starts to give you some signs like, hey, maybe you should go in this direction. And then you do something and people like it or not, want to consume it or not, you get more feedback, you do something else, you do something else, you do something else. And you kind of can see what's possible. But it's just having the ability to say yes to new experiences and to be as brave as you can with that. It's tough, to put things out in the world and have people criticize you, like you or not. It's like, look at some of the people in the world that their other human beings are the most passionate about. Like Jesus Christ is one of the most beloved figures in the history of the world, but there's also people willing to kill followers of Jesus Christ. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you're not gonna, you're not going to appease everybody. Not everyone's going to like what you have to give, but so I've just tried to kind of seek that,
seek kind of those little, I was going to say handouts, but that's the wrong word, opportunities, because you still have to work towards them, you still have to follow them, but it's kind of those little things that's like, oh, okay, maybe I have a little talent here. Maybe I should work harder on developing that or moving into this role or, whatever it may be for each individual.
Yeah. So, so I did chase the writing thing because, once I got into that, I was like, hey, I'm actually pretty good at this. And I do actually kind of enjoy creating things that people consume. So, when Paint Magazine was in town to try to get some advertisement dollars out of Dye, I was kind of a young dude that at the time that, grew up in San Diego, knew people that worked at bars, knew the cool places to go. So, they'd always pawn me off on like anyone fun that came in or anyone that they thought would want to have fun. They're like, Matty will take you out, like that sort of thing. And so I went out we went out with the Paint Magazine guys, and I just fucking hilariously enough had got my tongue pierced. I was like Frosted Tips, Puka Shells, tongue pierced, the whole deal. Dude. It was the 90s, dog. Like that was cool shit.
Puka Shell gang, they're rocking.
Yeah, I see you got the Puka Shell game to be rocking over there. So I just got my tongue pierced, and I was talking to Chris Haas, who most recently people would know him from that famous book that got put out. That's the most recent thing, but they were legendary, like the best paintball magazine ever. Yeah, him and Diltz. So anyway, so I'm in a bar, and I'm, I just have my tongue pierced and things fucking swollen this big, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm a writer, dude. And he's like, Matty, I'm down to, yeah, dude, you play for the Ironman. If you want to write about something, like fucking let's do it. You don't have to convince me. And I was like,
put your best foot forward, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, you gotta, hey, dude, if I got an opportunity to bend your ear, fucking, I'm not gonna not do it just because I happen to not be able to talk right now. I'm still gonna try.
I'm gonna push through all hardships. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I did kind of chase that, but then print died quick. We didn't really have that long, but wrote a bunch of, like I really enjoyed that. It was hard, but it was kind of fun to document the scene, kind of living it and documenting it as we were living. And then, video took over. I got a real, remember Rob, remember Dirter Productions?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Have I ever told you the story about how I met Rob?
I don't think you have.
Have you ever heard this story?
I feel like I would have remembered it.
Okay. So, Rob Dirter ended up becoming one of the greatest videographers ever to grace our presence.
Oh yeah.
And I had a kind of, again, just kind of like a fate is weird. It does weird things in weird ways. But so one of the classes, and I would definitely advise anyone that has a chance to do this to take a class like this, even if you are not your vibe at all, but you should do this because it's good for your soul. Take an acting class. You learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about yourself in that. I mean, I, took public speaking and, do public speaking for a living now, but, I learned 10 times more about myself and how to deliver a message using words and your presence and your voice in acting class than I did in public speaking. Public speaking was bullshit. Like you don't.
Yeah.
That's like
Well,
if you're
and
gonna
then
take a public speaking class, get a good one.
I mean, I grew up a theater kid, so that was all the stuff I did. But the other thing that I really appreciated doing young, and I think people should just try if they get a chance, is like some type of improv, like some type of thing where you can just go and just make dumb jokes. And sometimes they're good and sometimes they're bad, but it helps you get that like repetition of just trying to, oh, this is a conversation. I'm trying to, like figure out something I could pop in here. And I think that's something that's, helped me with the podcast in general. I get a lot of questions of like, where do you get the confidence to talk for a while? You just got to do it. And the more you do it, the more it kind of builds up as any other skill does.
100%. I mean, I got to apologize for being long-winded because I grew up in a household where like, if you couldn't state your case with animation, then you just got talked over, like it was just, it
was debate heavy place. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the family I grew up in, man. Like you had to be able to argue your specific, like, this is what I think, and this is why I think it. And if you couldn't give a good, explanation backed up with some facts and some good narrative as to why the hell we should care about what your opinion is on something, then so it was like that was like an every day at the dinner table thing, and even with my extended family. But it's just it's important it's tough to have that confidence, It really is.
But
I think, I could go so many ways with this. I don't want to cannibalize like our whole time with this. But let me just real quick. I'll tell the Rob story and we can move on. But
that's great.
Yeah. So I take it.
I was gonna loop that into something else, but continue.
So I take this acting class. I'm 19. I was playing for, I think it was 97. I'm playing for might have been 18, 7, 8, whatever, somewhere around there. And then I was playing with Marine team. I'd been on Navarone when I was 16. This was a pro team back in the day, and then. Navarone, the old dudes took back over and kind of had to find a way again. So Marine team had a good deal, started playing with them. But so I took this acting class, and in the class, I met this dude named Rob. And Rob was super cool, San Diego guy, born and raised here. I was born and raised here. We kind of, both were dudes that were doing similar stuff. He's a little older than I was, but he was nice and fun and cocky, funny, and like all the group of dudes that I was hung out with too. Anyway, so we became friends. So I went to a couple of his parties. He was like doing skate films for fun, and he was a hell of an actor. And he had a really big personality, and I was pretty decent at it too. And so we ended up doing a scene together. We were the odd couple, so we kind of hung out, and then we were hanging out a little bit, and like most college loose friendship, sometimes you don't see somebody, and then this is back before like daily text messages and group chats and shit. You had to call a motherfucker on the phone. But anyway, don't think too much of it. Don't see him for a year or so, and I'm down at this bar, and I'm on the dance floor with some friends, and we're all having a good time, and all of a sudden I feel a tug at my leg. I'm on this like pedestal with like a bunch of people, and I look down, and it's Rob, and he's so he's looking at me, and he goes, "Matty Marshall, Ironman, paintball," and I was like. Dude, you play paintball? And we're like yelling at each other over the music. You play fucking paintball?
It's thumping in the background. Yeah.
You play on the Iron Man? And I was like, yeah. And so immediately we both hightailed it to the bar and just broed out. And he's like, dude, I play for Navarone now, and we're trying to bring it back. And I was like, holy shit. So then we became friends again. And then he ended up becoming Rob, Durder. So
that's funny.
So kind of.
You can say I knew him first. I brought him into this whole thing.
I definitely did not. He brought it, but I cannot claim any credit for that at all. But yeah, he just did amazing work, and it was just kind of, again, fate's weird like that.
Yeah. No, it's fun. Crazy. I mean, that is kind of crazy. And now we're completely off of it, but one of the things that you were talking about, kind of finishing of the last point there, was, kind of having confidence and being able to push through things and stuff like that. And one of the big things that, when I reached out to you to be on the show, you reached back out to me and said that you wanted to maybe talk about, mental health a little bit, as, something that I guess I've kind of had to bring, to the light in this off season, but something that I'm glad that I feel like more of the sports starting to have a conversation about now, because I feel like it is very important for a lot of people who, maybe deal with some anxiety, some depressions, things along those lines, to have a game where you can, play with your brothers and focus up and, put all this energy and emotion into something that's more positive. So, I mean, I just kind of, what was, I guess mental health and paintball, I guess that's a good place to stem from. But, what is your take on that?
I think paintball is an amazing thing for mental health. It's because there's so many things required of you in the world, and those are all like, again, we sit here and look at each other and we're so used to having conversations with other humans and listening to people's voices, and we kind of forget that we're still just fucking animals, man. Like we're just an ape that
essentially
evolved, like, yeah. And when, scientists crack into how the biochemistry and, we're just learning a lot more about how the brain works, and, but at the same time that we do live in the safest, moment that we've ever existed in, it's like, I got a kid, he's 3. 100 years ago, the chance of him living to be 12 would have been 40-50%, depending on where in the world. That was just 100 years ago.
Yeah, economic levels and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but yeah.
But it's in, can't remember, it might have been in Sapiens from Yuval Harari, but he was talking about how infant mortality, and the reason why I'm bringing this up, this story is because to talk about mental health, we have to talk about where the fuck we actually are right now in the modern world.
Yeah.
It's kind of important to cement us into like, why do so many people feel unfulfilled? Why is there such why is everyone, either haunted by the past or scared of the future in some way, shape, or form? Because we're just fucking monkeys, dude. And we just evolved to get here, and we were living in this Byzantine labyrinth of choices and confusion and stuff we have to do, and we don't really have lions to fight anymore. And if we do, it's another human being, and there's fucking drone warfare, and nuclear bomb. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the world, it's like the modern world is a total existential mind fuck, and so,
I like what you're
it's
saying
like,
here, Matty.
I like what you're saying
here. It's very true.
And I'm not trying to black pill anybody. I mean, this is just reality, like this
very
is just
very true.
It is what it is, again, like, what are we talking about? Let's talk about what it fucking actually is. And that's what it actually is. So it is special about the game, and I would love to hear which way you guys want to take this, but is that it cements you into the moment. And, you can go meditate, and you can go do another sport, or, I've played lots of sports, man. I've meditated, I've hiked to the tops of mountains. Like, I've done tons of shit.
Yeah.
And
tried it all.
But still, I haven't tried it all, but I tried a lot of it. But paintball still, after all this time, is a very unique thing, because when, and I've talked to so many people about this over the years, so many people about the whole, like, paintball saved my life type situation. One, it gives you a focus because it's expensive. Something is required of you. Even if you get the luckiest break in the world and happen to be really talented at an incredibly young age, and somebody wants you, like, everything's paid for, well, a lot is still required of you. Like, you still have to go out and fight against the other lions in that gladiator arena at whatever level it is that you're playing at. And, like, when I got into the game, there was pro and amateur, and that was it. So it was kind of like there wasn't 15 different divisions that you could play in. So when I got into it, to me, we're playing war, bro. Like, that's why I started to play paintball. I didn't start to play paintball because I wanted to play the sport of paintball. There wasn't a sport of paintball. Like, there was, but I didn't know that when I started playing.
Yeah. And it was still more primitive back then. When you look at early day MPPL footage, it's dudes in the woods. We're playing war out there. We're in camouflage. We're trying to,
We didn't have face masks, bro.
No, you guys didn't. You were crazy.
glasses.
Wearing just goggles. And that was even kind of like, that didn't come in at first, when you look at the early days. But yeah, no, paintball has definitely helped a lot of people, because I feel like it also, similar to any other combat sport or any other type of like karate or martial art, it gives you that way to kind of focus aggression that you may deal with in normal daily life. But if you, use that in other ways, there may be extreme repercussions for that. Whereas if you come here, it's a safe outlet for that, and it can allow you to, express that angry emotion or whatever the hell it is out. Yeah. On someone else, but on someone else with a plastic ball that's going to break at 300 feet per second. Yeah, and they're going to be fine. They're going to go the next day, and but you get that satisfaction of feeling like you're, that like you said, bringing it back to, just simple primitive species of fighting something else, another tribe, another, species that's coming in to attack yours. So yeah, no, I feel like it definitely does a lot for that side as well. But then, what you said, the sport side of it starts to hone that mental clarity of, focusing on the game plan. There's 5 people out here. We all need to kind of be connected and working together to make this work, moving forward.
Yeah. And it's, again, so many ways to go with this. I mean, just also, so there's the fact that the gameplay itself just whips you into consensus reality in a microsecond, and you have to exist there, and you need to be now. But you also, at the same time that you're existing in this exact moment, this gunfight, but your brain is also like, well, you probably need to check in over here because, you know, but be careful because you got to still look this. You know, there's all these little things going on, all these little complications, and there's pain at the end, good or bad. You know, if you do something really well, like some of the best moves I ever made in my life were the most painful moves. You know, like you run through the center and you shoot 5 dudes and then you just get chainsawed in half. Especially back in the day when it was like 25 balls a second and there were like cheating boards, you know, shooting like 320.
It was going crazy.
So
yeah,
so you get just chainsawed in half. But that was a great move. Painful. And then if you mess up, painful. But also painfully with your ego too. So there's all these things going on there, forcing you into have this battle here and now, and to do with this person, probably in not always the kindest way, you know. And and that's also part of our real existence. So there's all these little things that are in that situation, and then if you add on top of that, if you do decide you want to play tournament paintball, well, you're probably going to be traveling somewhere. You know, even if it's expensive, but your guy goes somewhere else, right? So now I'm going to a different place. I may have never been with a bunch of people, may have never worked with or worked with a lot. Like, welcome to the fucking history of humanity, dude.
Yeah,
like,
just having new experiences now.
Here?
Yeah.
Like, I'm in San Diego. How the fuck do you think we humans got to San Diego? You know,
I mean,
we traveled many different times.
Figured out it was beautiful and we stopped in San Diego, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. You know, so it's just, it's a cool thing. And so the travel bit, it's like, you know, because I had a lot of anxiety when I was younger, man. I had for a couple, like, there was a decent part when, like, 3rd grade, 4th grade, where I had just crippling anxiety. Not a story I like to tell because it doesn't make me sound tough, you know, but honestly, but it's the truth, you know, and I remember the moment it happened. You know, I was at recess, I think it was in, like, 3rd grade, had, like, what I now would be called, like, a garden variety panic attack. Didn't know what the hell it was at the time, you know, just had to deal with that and figure my way out of that abyss. You know, and it was rough and it really sucked because this was, you know, go see the doctor. They didn't know what that shit was at this time. I mean, there was some inklings of it, but for me, they're like, do some tests on him. He's fine, you know, and then whatever. It was really, really, really hard. And then as I got older and kind of grew out of that a little bit, you know, and then, you know, when I was 16, you know, I played sports my whole life, but then started playing, you know, baseball in high school and, you know, kind of just growing out of it, but it would every now and then creep up. You know, where it's something you got it, but you know how to manage it now. You know, and I feel like that's a lot of people out there. I think a lot of people are trying to figure that out. I mean, when you look at the amount of people that, and whether and depression's a whole different thing, but for me, it was more anxiety, you know, and so with paintball, like doing paintball and then traveling around, it's like, again, anytime that you do something that makes you realize you're not made of glass, really helps you out. And it gives you the soul armor that you need to because the rest of the volume on regular life gets dialed down. It's like the first time you get, you know, hit in the face, or first time you get shot with a paintball, or first time you go somewhere by yourself or get yourself out of a jam, whatever. Or, you know, it's like, and then so paintball just has so many of those types of, you know, small, intricate difficulties that you can accomplish or fail. But there's this almost like, I hate using the word, but it is a little bit of it wouldn't call it a safe space, but it's like, you know, like a fertile ground for a soul to grow. You know, because I think that's kind of what it is. And so and again, there's so many different ways we could go with this, but that's my experience.
No, I think it's great to hear that, because I think that's, you know, I think that's a big thing with a lot of it too, is it's hard for dudes to talk about this shit. Like you just mentioned there, you know, you feel comfortable to say it now, but you know, that's not a story that you like to tell. You know, that was a disclaimer that you gave going into that.
Who wants to tell that story?
But that's the thing I'm saying, and I think it's good that more dudes like you are like, oh, okay, like it's more common than I think people think, and I think that's what happens is when no one wants to talk about it, you can start to kind of get isolated in your head and just be like, am I the only one who feels like this? Like, what the fuck, is this just me? But then you hear, okay, this is kind of a common part of life, and it's figuring out how do I deal with it? How do I move forward? And you know, kind of, I don't want to say cope, but for lack of a better term, kind of cope with it and, you know, figure out what you got to do to keep moving forward. So No, it's a huge conversation. You could go on to it for a long time, but I appreciate your story there, and I hope more dudes realize, like, hey, reach out to your dude. Even Hatch talks about this all the time, but just little phone calls. If he's driving home, he'll call dudes on his team and just say, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Just check in for 20 minutes. Simple things like that that I really think are helpful. But also in a team aspect, that's where you start to come up with that chemistry of like figuring out different calls for stuff, and it just little kind of off the field bonding moments help as well on the field.
Yeah, for sure. Well, again, it's everyone handles things differently. And again, another part of not wanting to talk about this sometimes is like, you don't really want to be a burden. It's like my problems aren't other people's problems,
So, it's my shit. I want to handle it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, and that, I don't know how everyone else was raised, but there is that, especially as a male these days, or just in general. And I'm sure some women grew up this way too. I'm not to be like dialed in that specific, but for guys, it's like, I grew up with a neighborhood full of dudes and a stoic father, and it's like, and I love them, but it was like rub some dirt on it and suck it the fuck up. That's kind of the,
just come outside and play airsoft and we're just gonna shoot each other and just run. Yeah.
No one gives a shit about your problems type situation. It's like, and that's true to a certain extent, but you got to have some people and you got to have outlets. But that's the thing with paintball is that, I'm just being honest about this stuff. And I'm not saying that, look, like, yeah, man, not everyone's going to want to hear you complain about stuff, but you got to have some way to vent and doing something physical, because the modern world has taken the physicality out of a lot of things. You don't have to hunt your own food. You don't have to grow your own food. Some people don't even leave their house anymore if you don't want to. If you got a remote job,
you zoom into everywhere COVID, and
zoom in everywhere, order your food delivered. Like, if you really don't want to, like, you don't really have to leave your house. So you got to, I love there's virtual paintball games now, because that's awesome too. But, the fact that you still got to go somewhere and get shot at by a dude in anger and play this game of paintball is pretty rad. That's doing something physical with your body, being in some sort of tense moment. It's just very natural for a human. That's what we've been doing for time immemorial. And other animals do it every day. It's like if anyone that lives on any edge of wilderness, and you're going to see coyotes fighting cats and some random dogs rolling around and snakes. And, it's like this, I don't know if anyone follows that Instagram page, Nature is Metal, but
it's a Reddit as well. But
yeah. So, anyway. Yeah, again, I don't want to just rant, talk everyone's ear off. But...
No, but I kind of feel what you're saying, just that, like, getting back to primitive aspects, and there is some of that in paintball, the teamwork, the just pure aggression at times, but also being smart and trying to win and beat someone else, in a tactical game. That's a very primitive thing, I feel like.
Okay, one thing I want to ask real quick. So what were you calling that? It was like a garden growing. What when you were having your anxiety attack? What was it called?
It was it was a garden variety panic attack. Just like a standard ass.
Okay,
that's a saying I've heard before.
Called that before, so okay.
Well, no, it's. That's just. That's not like a technical term or anything. I would just it was just like a garden variety something, like it's just a garden
variety
metaphor.
Tomato.
It's
kind of
just like a regular ass tomato, just like nothing special. But no. Well, for how that happened to me, I remember like it was yesterday. I was sitting, like, it was recess was over. I had like a near fall or something off the swings. I can't remember the whole situation, but I must have had my adrenaline up. Again, third grade, and my birthday's the day before Christmas, and I went into school at 4 and then graduated at 17. I was always a little young in my class.
Okay.
So yeah, third grade. I can't remember how old I was though. Anyway, and I remember sitting there because I can still remember it, and I was like going to eat this Cheeto. I was like kind of amped up, and I looked up at the sky, and I was just like had this intense feeling of like existential dread, like something bad was going to happen. And I didn't know what it was. And so, and again, just being anxious. Again, this is just a
well,
and regular ass panic attack.
Yeah, and I laugh not making fun of, but just in kind of like, oh yeah, no, it's been there, and there's points to those things happen, and it's because I remember my first one. It was some very similar thing, came out of nowhere, and all of a sudden you're just like, what? Oh, okay, what is this feeling? What I don't get what's going on. But you're able to grow up, and I don't mean grow up in kind of a literal sense, but more in just you're able to start to deal with that hardship, I want to say, easier, just, you know, as you start to go through it more and more, like any other thing in life, you become tougher to it, you become more resilient to it. And I think, you know, there's a lot of outlets and stuff you can do to help out with that. And like we've said, you know, paintball is definitely one. I do want to transition into maybe a couple other things that are going on, you know, today in paintball. I think kind of an interesting one to get your thoughts on is Aftershock coming back. I mean, a very, very legendary franchise. It's been officially announced that they are, you know, coming back into the NXL. That's what Todd is aiming to do. You know, I just little bit of kind of thoughts and opinions on that.
It's good to see. There's always going to be churn. It's turnover. You know, there's always going to be people coming in, people going out. Everything ends eventually. So when you see a team like Level, and man, what a cool run they had. You know, a couple breaks here or there, things could have gone different for them, but you come up in that, and you know, God bless Dave Pando and his boys. But it's a difficult thing because but this is also, again, just so human. It's like, we're going to get the boys together and we're going to go on an adventure and we're going to see what happens with that adventure.
How far we can get. And
yeah, how far can we go? How far can we sail? How far can we walk? How many cities can we conquer? You know?
Yeah.
So that was fun to see them get better over time, and some stars emerged out of that, and also great role players, man. I mean, this, to be honest, there's still, I think most of that starting 5-6 needs to end up on other teams if they don't end up staying with Shock. I hope they do. When I talked to Todd, I talked to Todd Amundsen before he did this, and he was in the hunt for a pro team. Talked to him afterwards to get his thoughts on things, and I told him that which, I mean, he'd seen those guys play, so he knew he had, you know, some goodness on his hands. But he has this vision for his team. They're going to have a tryout. You know, we'll see how it develops. But I told him, I'm like, dude, you have a decent paintball team right now. I know that the results have not been good. The team's already pretty solid. I gave him the rundown of the whole roster and, you know, what I thought about everybody, potential guys he could pick up. And obviously it's, you know, getting a little bit late to the dance here, though, as far as being able to pick dudes up if you don't want to just drop a ton of money, which, you know, Todd's a man of means, but he's not going to go down that road right away, because I think he wants to build like a group, a core, you know, just like how Level had a core and every team has a core that's following a similar dream. I think he wants to build that and build it for Shock again, which I think is pretty noble. It's noble considering how legendary that team name is. When they went away, that was a sad day, because when I came up, it was Ironman West Coast, Shock Midwest, All Americans, 3 best teams. You know, wasn't really close. Yeah, there were other great teams out there, teams that had done well, but when I was coming up, those were the 3 teams because they had the most success. You know, again, this is a zero-sum game. I'm not a zero-sum game normally. Like, hey, you know, we can all kind of win together. But some things in life are very zero-sum, and this is as zero-sum as it gets, dude. There's 20 pro teams, 1 team wins. That's it. You win or you lose.
There's no consolation prizes.
Trophy.
We don't even play a third place game. We care about first, and second is just there because they're in the match as well. It's
100%.
No, it's paintball. It's always been cutthroat like that. I mean, it's funny you brought up, you know, the classic teams there. I've been, you know, looking back in the past. I'm starting to research another kind of video essay topic. But you know, you were talking about the Ironman a little bit, and you know, we have our connection with Brando and his family, kind of starting that off. But it was crazy when you look back that paintball always has these chunks of time where someone is at the top. And if you look back far enough, you can always see those chunks. So at one point it was Ironman, you know, and then they got filled out. And then, you know, we started to see more teams like All Americans come in, and when you start to see more stuff. But then, you know, you think to last 10 years, okay, Impact had their run where they were the top team on top, and, you know, they were just dominating everything. Well, then there was also times where Dynasty was just completely destroying everything. And paintball seems to be this very top heavy game where we see these, you know, common names pick up for their time, almost similar to sports like F1, where you see a similar thing. You look back at the history books, there's, you know, 5-year spans where that team is the top and they're on top. So it's definitely cool to see another legacy name kind of come back and rejoin into the fold with Aftershock. So yeah, no, I was definitely happy to see that. You know, I think I've been around Todd a little bit. I filmed some stuff for the Femme Fatales under different, stuff for Die, working with Nate over there. And so, yeah, it's been, they're as we always say, they're paintball patrons. They're people who want to, grow the game and help kind of make it better. So, yeah, I'm glad that they're back involved in the Pro Division.
So nice.
Yeah, it's cool. And again, it's just because, sometimes people ask me, they're like, oh, Maddy, what happens when Dynasty retires? What happens when this happens, when this? And I'm like, then next team up, next man up. And it's and I would sometimes guide them to I'm like, okay, how many teams are here? Whatever team we're at. If we're a cup, it'd be like 700 teams. I'm like, okay, so we got 20 pro teams, 20 pro players, or 200 pro players ish, give or take. There's 24 actually a cup because we had the Europeans here.
Yep.
But still, it just whatever. Call it 250. In a little bit of time, we're going to see a big turnover. We're going to see new people come in, and that's just the nature of everything.
Yeah.
Now, my challenge to that next generation would be like, please be as hardworking and as entertaining as the Dynasty guys have been for the past 25 years.
Yeah,
Please.
Very true.
But it's those hungry people are out there, and I also think it's cool that we are seeing. And we have seen an evolution of who plays the game at its highest level and how it's played. But we are starting to see it's like, because in the early 2000s, when just all this money was just being lit on fire, and we started, and the game was changing, and the guns were so fast, and it was like, find the shortest, fastest guy that's aggressive and crazy, and just send him to the snake off the break. We'll teach him how to play. And it's like it's become blatantly apparent that just doesn't matter, man. Like paintball, being really, really good at paintball is kind of like singing or being 6'10". Like you either are 6'10" or you are not.
Yeah.
Like you either can sing or you can't. Now we can take somebody that can sing and teach them to sing a little bit better, but you can't take someone that's tone deaf and they're going to become,
American
the
Idol.
next. Yes, it's just that's not how. Unfortunately, I hate to break it to anybody, but but that being said, but the cool thing about paintball is that because it's again, you got these guys, and MMA. This happened in MMA a little bit too. When in mixed martial arts, because you had to master so many different styles, you started to see guys that were in their late 20s to even 40, and some early 40s, be the champions or be the top tier. Yeah. Just because it took them that long to master the discipline. And so I think what we're seeing when you look at, there's only a certain amount of teams that have won. It's because, those are the masters. And until somebody shows up and knocks them off their pedestal, they're going to do it until they're 45 if they can.
It seems like it. Yeah. Like, we're going to change the Masters division again. We're going to move it up again.
Grandmaster.
Yeah. So, but the point is that it's become a thing where it's like, it's true skill though, but you can get better. So it's like we are seeing, like I'm not contradicting what I just said in the sense that, you do have to have some innate skill and talent at it. And some are more than others. But with paintball, you can't take someone that's pretty decently talented. Like if you're out there and you're listening to this and you're already kind of king shit down in D3, I'm not even saying your team's winning. I'm just like, what you're doing, dude. Like you're out here and you're kind of doing what you want. You're getting shot.
Whatever game plan you're doing, you're making it work, kind of. Yeah.
You're kind of like, you're making it work. Like, it's, D3 is tough, man. Like, that's another cool thing about the sport, too, is everything keeps getting better and better. Every year, when we see the best get out there on the center court and I start calling those games, I've been doing it for 20 years. Every year it gets better. The guy, if a D3 team went and played classic Ironman, right? Like if we could form that on a hyperball field, bro, it wouldn't even be close.
No,
that D3 team would beat the living shit out of the classic Ironman
100% of the time.
In an X-ball match. I would put $10,000 on it. But that's the evolution of everything. Things just evolve. They get more refined and better, and it just because you take what's been, it's like the bars here. And then here comes the next record, and then here comes the next record, and it's still until you start pumping up against actual physical capabilities, as far as like physics and the human brain to comprehend something in order to move its way through the world. Yeah. We ain't there with paintball.
No, not even close.
but that's what's rad about it, though. So it's a cool thing where, you're not going to take someone that has no idea what they're doing playing paintball, and they're going to be a world champion in 10 years, but you see these guys that are, these are everyone, a lot of people that, they may make some money playing paintball. They're, because you have professional paintball players and then you have dudes that get paid to play, so those are like two kind of different echelons,
different
two different
tiers.
levels.
Yeah.
So, and,
well, and I was going to say, someone that kind of points out what you're saying is a guy like Tyler Pantaleo. I filmed his first 3-man year in 2017. Or 2017, I first filmed him. His first year was 2016. He was playing in the finals at World Cup starting for Impact in 2023. That timeline is very condensed for a lot of people, but that's the thing is Tyler's one of those guys who just had it. You could tell growing up through the ranks, he just had it. And some people are like that, and some people, maybe it takes them 10 years to get there, and maybe they eventually get there. But it's different for everyone. Like, I think he was just a great person that stands out to that. Like, some guys are just born to be really good players. They have really good decision making, and they're very athletic. And it's crazy how far they can go.
Yeah, I played a 10-man with Tyler Pantaleo maybe 3 years ago, and he was young. Yeah, I can't remember. He was young, but Dave brought him out, and I talked to Dave.
Cat Factory, I'm guessing. Or?
Yeah, for Cat Factory. And I'm like, who's Tyler? Who's the kid? And he's like, oh, it's Tyler, dude. He's gonna be good. He's Matty. He's gonna be really good. And he was a beast out there playing 10-man. But he was one of those guys that I looked at, and when you've been looking at something for a while, you can kind of you can see it. You can see it, even if it's not there yet. Like that. Yeah, that you're just kind given a little bit of time. But that's what all the coaches, and guys scouting for teams are kind of looking for. I mean, you do need a work ethic. You do need to be willing to, and you need to be a good teammate. But everyone's kind of looking for that spark. We could talk about what that is. It's a little certain something that certain people carry in them.
All right, we are back. Sorry, internet dropped out there for a second on my side. So, we were just talking, you were saying that spark and kind of figuring out what that is, and then dropped off right after that.
Yeah, so it's like when we're let's define what that is. Like, what's the spark? What are people looking for when they show up to watch somebody play? Right? That's kind of
it's like energy. It's passion. I don't know the right word to define it. It's such a hard thing to define, but guys like Tyler, they're a great example. I mean, you could say another Tyler was probably when people saw Harmon playing back in the day when he was a little kid, of just this grit, this determination, this like, I'm shorter than everyone, but I'm gonna come here and I'm going to be better than all of them. And that kind of drive.
Ryan, you've been around Tyler Harmon a bit, right?
Oh, just a little bit. A couple times.
Okay. Have you ever looked Tyler Harmon in the eyes before?
It scares me, and it's why I don't like filming him in the pits.
That's the spark. Have you met Todd Martinez?
Yep.
Okay. Do you know the aura that exudes around Todd when he starts telling a story? Anyone that knows Todd knows what I'm talking about.
For sure.
That's a spark. You ever seen the bloodlust in Ryan Greenspan's body movements when he goes through and sees a zone that he knows he can make a dope move through? You ever seen that body language before? Anyone that's watched Dynasty play? Okay, that's the fucking spark. That's the spark.
Ryan Greenspan.
Yeah. Have you ever seen like Marcelo get set in to like a low body situation, and how like
it's
very
tiny
specific.
Somehow?
Well, no, he just the way you'll see it. He kind of like he realizes the moment, and he realizes like, all right, here we go. That's a spark. So there's what you're looking for is people's understanding of certain situations, exuding a certain energy. Like, not everyone has to be as charismatic as Tyler Harmon and Todd.
Yeah. But I see the point you're making. Like, that's that thing for them that it's like, that's why you're a special player, or that's why you're going to be good at whatever you decide to do, is because of that kind of innate ability. Is that kind of it?
Well, it's like, again, it's paintball, dude. Let your soul out, get out there and just let it out, dude. Like, fuck it. Maybe not everyone's going to like you. That's okay. Don't be a dick. Don't be a dick, but be somebody that people are going to remember. Go out and make that move. Don't fuck the second guessing, forget, all the self-doubt. The paintball is the place for that. Okay. Because if you're good, then people are going to deal with your quirkiness, and that's okay. And then honestly, like, that's one of the most endearing things about some of my favorite people. They're quirky. It's like, you don't ever remember the people that are just super spit and polished and never say the wrong shit. And then, you go and have a boring ass conversation with somebody about something, and it's like I don't come on these shows to have boring ass conversations, dude. life's too short for that, dude. That's not how I look at the world. That's not the people I want to have around me. That's not what I'm trying to give to the world. You know, it's time is fucking short. Tell me a story. Sing me a song. Do something fucking cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, and
let's get heart rate going.
We can chill too. We don't have to say shit, but there's a time and a place for everything. But paintball is the place to let it out a little, you know, and to work hard communally to try to get to the goal, to try to be, you know, and to try to, you know, to try to let the, you know, there's something inside you that, given the right time and place, can help other people and help yourself, because that's what life is about, dude. When you help other people, you help yourself. When you help yourself, you end up helping other people if done the right way. Yeah. Because nothing's done in a fucking vacuum, you know. It's like, you know, so I mean, even recently, spacing on his name real quick, which is ridiculous. He's a producer, produced like the Beastie Boys and Slayer. I mean, he's done everything.
Oh, Rick Rubin?
Yes, Rick Rubin. So Rick Rubin just wrote his book, and he's done he's been on the podcast circuit recently. But one of the parts of Rick Rubin's book is he was discussing how he's like, I'm not creating art for the consumer. I'm creating the artist comes first. You create the art for you.
Yeah.
And if it's good, and why? Because that brings out the passion in your soul to do the work required to make something that's fucking hard sometimes to get out there. Well, and if you care enough for that. Go right.
No, you're 100% right, because like the WDP video wouldn't exist if I didn't want to see it in the world. That's the only reason I made that video, and I'm glad it resonated with people. I'm glad people liked it, but I honestly was just like, this is a topic I know nothing about. Let's go research it and like make a cool thing about it, and that's what ended up coming out of it. So you're making 100% of a great point here. You know, like a lot of things and a lot of great things that come out in creativity are not made for an audience necessarily, as they're just made for the person making it. I mean, how many of Dan's pieces, like all of Red Sunday, I'm thinking of the Vicious one, I know for a fact, because Dan's told me, he made that because he wanted to make it. He told Planet Eclipse, like, hey, let's tell a story about Vicious, because people are going to give a shit, because they're a bunch of dudes who are just, you know, they're not special. They don't have amazing funding. They don't have all this stuff, but they're trying, and they're going to, you know, have that kind of blue collar story that appeals to a lot of people, I feel like.
The grit.
Grit. Perseverance, gumption. That is something that, because that's what people want to see in themselves, and they would like to bring it out of themselves. If you naturally have that, then bro, this conversation is not for you. Go do some cool shit for us, bro. We'll watch you do it, man. Fucking just sit there like, way to go, hero. Great job. You know, and not every conversation is for everybody. Some people need to hear different things. You know, when you coach people, that's kind of part of it too. But yeah, but also, and that's kind of one of the things about the game. Like, the game is gnarly. The game is heavy. It's an intense thing emotionally to do. So I don't want to, you know, we've changed the rules and done different things here or there, but at the end of the day, like, it's a fun experience to play, and we have to be careful about changing it too much, because it's like there's I can't remember his name either. I've read this book and I just listened to him recently, and I was unfamiliar with his work before, but he said something that really resonated with me. I read this article about like why movies are shit right now. And I mean, it's, you know, we can talk about that if you want, but but so he just wrote a book about this, and he's done a lot of cultural criticism up to this point. He's a pretty well-regarded cultural critic, but he was basically just saying that how, you know, when you try to make something for everyone, you end up making it really that no one's super passionate about it, you know, and that's kind of a problem. So in Hollywood, everyone's so scared to take a flyer or take a risk, but that's how Hollywood made itself, was just like constantly reinventing itself. New filmmakers would come up and be doing some, you know, hyper violent stuff or super, you know, emotional
edgy
stuff,
comedy type stuff,
edgy comedy stuff, and it was just but people wanted to see that, and so all these different things created these different genres, and now they're just like pumping it into the algorithm. It's like, don't offend everybody, don't don't do this, and we can't do that.
Of these, you know, each demographic gets a person, and then, you know, everyone. Yeah,
totally.
It is just kind of a formula. It's formulaic creation, and it's not, You know, I mean, if they were making super bad, they didn't make that off a AI algorithm. That just, you know, that was dudes who were in a room thinking of something really funny and writing it down, and then, hey, let's go make this. And I think some of that is kind of lost from some of the top echelon of, you know, cinema that we see today. But totally different conversation. I don't know how we stumbled into that, but no,
Tangents, baby. I love it. I love a good tangent.
For sure. I know Hatch, Brandon, actually, I'll let Brandon get in one because I know Hatch kind of got one in earlier. Did you have a couple questions for Maddy in particular before, I mean, we're kind of getting towards the end of his time with us tonight.
I do, yeah. Maddy, I know Navarone was your first pro team that you were on, and you're kind of like, you're a historian, right? You like the history of the stories, you know, of paintball and teams and everything. Did you know the history of Navarone when you were picked up by them?
I did. Well, not at first, because I just started playing paintball. I had gone to the field a few times, and then the guy that I, you know, just again fate, but the guy that owned the field came up to me. His name was Barry Renya, and he's like, "Hey kid, you know, been watching you play. You're pretty good." He's like, "We're looking to pick up some younger players on it. We have a team out here in Navarone." And I'd already heard at the point who they were. And then so he's like, "We have, you know, tournament tryouts or practices on Sundays. We got one coming up in like a couple weeks. If you can make it and play well, then we'll, you know, maybe take you to Orlando for free. We'll give you some guns."
Yeah, the like, basic sales pitch.
Yeah, and I'd been playing paintball for like 6 months at the time. I'd only played paintball maybe 3-4 times.
Okay.
So I was like, this is awesome. So then I went and told my dad about it, and I have told the story on podcasts before, but I was, you know, I was in trouble at the time for something, and so I kind of snuck out to try to steal the car on Sunday morning, and my dad was like, you know, caught me. He's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, you know," I told him the pitch, which I hadn't told him before. I'm like, "Oh, I got this tryout for," he probably thought it was total shit, but it was, you know, it was like 7 o'clock in the morning, 6:30 in the morning, and I was like, "Hey, tryout for this paintball team. If I make it, then I get to like play, you know, they'll give me some stuff for free. They maybe take me to Orlando." And anyway, so he did have kindness on me in the sense that he didn't forbid me to go. But, you know, cause I was 16 years old and fucking car. But he said, he's like, "Well, you know," I was like, "Well, I really want to do." He's like, "No, I didn't say you couldn't go. You can't take the car." And I was like, "Well, you drive me down there." He's like, "I'm not driving you 45 minutes down to Otay Lakes, bro, crazy." And then he's like, "But you could figure out a way. If you want to do it, figure out a way." So I went and took all the money I had at the time, cash, well, at the Yellow Pages, 94, 93.
Yeah, there's a lot of kids today don't even know what that is. It was a big book that had all the businesses in town in there.
Yeah, and so I looked up cabs, and I called a cab company, and they came and picked me up one way down there, and paid like, I don't know, at the time it was like $50-$60. Take me down that way.
Jeez.
And
God damn, that's an expensive Uber now.
Yeah, got dropped off. It was like a 45-minute drive into the sticks of San Diego down by the border, what's called Borderland, and then got dropped off, and the old men saw me getting out of the, you know, the cab, and they're like, "What the fuck?" And I told them the story. And they were like, "That's what we're talking about. That's what we need. We need that type of dedication." Anyway, so I got on the team, but then afterwards, I also got a job at the paintball store. So Barry gave me a job at the paintball store. Now, at that paintball store was every issue of every paintball magazine that had ever been printed up until like 1994. Awesome. And that was a slow paintball store. So I read every single issue of every paintball magazine that had ever been printed up until that period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And I would just
on the clock, fiddling through. Just, yeah.
I mean, there wasn't a lot to do, dude. Like, it was a really slow paintball store, and, you know, I didn't know how to work on guns yet, and so I just kind of just was helping customers, anyone that come in, and sometimes they'd leave me there by myself, and yeah, and I would just be bored out of my mind, so I would just read paintball magazines. Because, you know, again, there was no internet, so, you know, you're cleaning some shit. You can only clean so many things after a while, and then it wasn't a manufacturing facility for me to build anything, so I was just there at a retail store, kind of just sitting around, twiddling my thumbs.
What better to do than read some magazines, learn some history?
Yeah. So to answer your question, I had at that point then learned not just about Navarone, but like everything. that was at least available in the magazines. And then I would talk to the older guys because Russell Maynard, God rest his soul, Barry, God rest his soul. Russell Maynard started his old paintball store called Paintball Connection, which was a big deal, 2 or 3 years before I started working there, but it was on its way out at that when I kind of put on the job. But Russell Maynard, he did the Great Western Series. It was like essentially what the WCPPL is now. Russell Maynard ran that back in the day. Just in that
kind of a West Coast base.
Yes, West Coast base amateur series. So he would come in all the time, and then Barry would come in all the time, and then there was a couple of like the older guys would come fix their guns occasionally, and I'm the 16-year-old kid sitting around, just talking to these dudes in their 30s and 40s, and they're just telling me all these crazy stories about the history and that sort of stuff. So that's how I kind of got a bug for the history of paintball. Well, just real quick, the caveat to this is I got given all of those magazines, and like a dumb teenager, I left them outside in a rainstorm, and they all got destroyed. And so I've also felt a karmic fucking debt that I have had to repay by allowing all of those to get destroyed. Has been living in the back of my mind.
God,
that happened when
so
I was
much
like
history.
18 or 19 years old. But it was a dumb thing that I did. But it's San Diego. It doesn't rain much. I was like, just put them outside.
How could you predict that?
I'll move them in here. And all of a sudden, fucking rainstorm happens. I'm out of town, and I come back, and they're completely destroyed. And I was like, well, now I got to give it back some.
So
I've been working to pay off that karmic debt, bro, ever since. I was
gonna say it's kind of funny because now when I think about it, when I'm the middle 20-year-old who's going and talking to all these 40-year-old dudes about the history of the game, and now I'm kind of feel like I've passing on that torch just a little bit, kind of in the same situation you spent. That's one of my favorite parts of events is Sunday after everything's all over, when you can talk to people, chat, shoot the shit for 30 minutes because we've all done our jobs and we're all just kind of finally now recovering and resting a little bit. So no, it's always fun to pick your mind, Rich, all the kind of older guys of just what were these stories that I was only able to watch through Heroes for a Day, Push, stuff like that. What was it like to be there? What was the whole picture of what was going on? So I can relate to that kind of love for history and wanting to just learn more, just figure out what was going on before you were here.
Well, it's fascinating to me, but it's also real. It's like again, grew up in a family that had like a pretty good genealogy, so kind of was reminded, hey, here's where you come from. Here's your family's history. But then also when you start to go back and like look at certain things, or you're trying to track something in, a book or something, and you go back and it's like, man, shit disappears real quick. And then once it's gone, it's like, they say that you die 2 deaths. The first death is when you physically die, and then your second death is when your name is uttered for the last time. And so when you see a lot of cool things and live a lot of cool experiences and are a part of something, and you realize how special that is, these people you meet, it's like, that's the cool. I mean, you guys know that. It's like you meet all these amazing people, and that's why I like telling other people's stories, because, so many times it's like, hey, have you met this guy? Or, that's part of my passion in telling stories is, hey, this is amazing. Care about this.
Yeah.
But you can't just say that, you can't just be like, hey, you should give a shit about this guy. You have to give somebody a reason to give a shit.
A good anecdote. And yeah,
it's like, we would always, like, anytime I'm working on projects with people, I'm always talking about, or one of the kind of starting things is we have to create things that make people care, that make them give a shit. And the operative word in that sentence is the verb to make, because it's a conscious decision on the part of a creator to tell this side of the story, or to tell this, because at the end of the day, I only have a small amount of your time. So I have to make you care. And I have to try to give you the certain types of information and say it a certain way to try to have the most resonance possible, the most potency in that small, succinct amount of time that I have you for, to make you care. And I care, but that's the thing is, like, just because I care about something doesn't mean someone else is going to care about something.
Yeah, of course.
That's not how the world works, dude. Like,
no, yeah.
I like Slayer. My wife hates Slayer. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, it's not,
Well, everything.
I like the Wu-Tang Clan too. It's like I was having a conversation with, one of the younger guys about, and I was like pleading Wu-Tang Clan's case, and I'm like, why? Jesus Christ, dude, I got to plead the case for the Wu-Tang Clan here? Fuck, man, this shit should speak for itself. Listen to this shit.
It's good. Yeah, no, but it is funny. Everything's subjective. Everyone's gonna have their own taste for everything, which is good overall. Generally, it's great to have different opinions and different views looking at the same thing, telling the same story. That's one of the things I always find is cool is watching the broadcast, watching kind of how it plays out through that angle, and then watching someone else's like different take on it when they're telling a narrative. If you look back at like some of the stories that we've had recently, like the projects that Go Sports has done, I can't think of the name of what was the year wrap up one that you guys did?
Well, we had 5 Sundays and we did 4 Sundays.
5 Sundays. I'm sorry. That's what I was trying to think. Yeah.
Just kidding. We gotta put the shit out, and then road to the finals. Because we're making like big like set pieces when we're doing something. It's like a history. And also something that's going to give you, you're going to see super crazy slow-mo stuff, and you're going to see some interviews, and you're going to see this, and we're going to have the, the narration to keep the context. But, it's like an NFL, we look at like an NFL films type thing. It's like the Packers met the Bears on Sunday, and it was snowing, and it was like, but you could watch that 15 years from now and be like, okay, that's what happened. Mm-hmm. And what I love, though, and this is, like I told you this at some point, I think, Ryan, and you guys too, it's just like I've been able to talk to you about it, but man, dude, props for doing this type of project, because we need as much of that as possible. With all the stuff that's out there, paintball is a fascinating thing, but people don't just wake up in the morning and go, wow, I really wonder what the ML Kings are doing today. Like, that's not how the human brain works. You don't just like awake from your slumber with work and your kids yelling at you and you got to go take the trash out, and then all of a sudden you're just like, dude, what's Ryan Greenspan doing right now? Like, that's not how it works. You have to give things constantly to the world, tell them stories as much as possible, and try to get them to be as passionate as you are about something based on the information that we have to give to them, and the most entertaining way to say it without sounding like assholes, because I'm not trying to turn this into the WWE. I'm not trying to be like, let's just start arguments, Ryan, I'm just going to come on and just fucking argue with you the whole time, be like, no, Dynasty's the best.
And then I'll send you the check afterward. It'll be all good. We'll get it cleared. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but you know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of the.
There's truth to it in paintball, and that's kind of, I think, what you're saying a little bit is it's, there is drama and there is stuff that comes out, but it's not being embellished and it's not being trumped up for huge multi-million-dollar TV contracts, because we don't have those yet. They would be great, but they don't exist in this sport, not right now. So everything that people are doing is from a spot of love, a passion. I want to be here because this is, the sport I love.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that, but we are kind of living in a new bit of golden age of content, because, dude, again, I've been around for a while, man. And so it's to just walk around and meet all these, for me, little bit new faces. Because even if you've been around for 5 years, it's like, that's awesome. But I mean, I've seen a lot of people come and go over time, and I've seen a lot of different incarnations of the attention. It's like, what type of attention is where, and also what's the turnout, like what's the vibe when we're at the tournaments, like all that sort of stuff, energy levels, participation levels. So to see, this many people kind of as creators, it's like when I first started I did a podcast for Paintball Nation in like 2008, and that was just, no one was doing that. So it's like, we did that for a little bit. I was trying to work out a business deal. This is getting a great recession. Didn't really come to terms with PB Nation. Did a little bit of that for them. We did the Real Deal podcast with, starting 2012. But it's like, there just wasn't a lot of it out there. Now we got like, and it's amazing. We got all these podcasts. We got all these people telling stories. There's photographers. They got their own mini businesses going. We got different creators. DQ's back. Patrick Spore's back. Dan Napoli's back. Yeah. Fucking, we're trying to take the webcast to another level. We got, like drone cameras and fucking cable cams. And
I love the drone. I definitely agree.
It's like, there's cool shit going on again. It's like, sweet.
I mean, I came into the sport around like 2012, which just, there wasn't any of this. There wasn't any of this just kind of, excitement, this buzz, because I mean, when you looked back then, there was only PB Nation YouTube channel and like HK Army, and that was about it. That was the only people who were putting out like, hey, we went to the event, we're doing this, this happened. And if you go through YouTube now, there's probably people whose names I haven't even seen or noticed yet, but they're putting out great content, and it's like, What the hell? Okay, sick. You know, I appreciate you, man. I'm gonna start checking more of your stuff out now.
Yeah, I mean, like Matt the Gym Rat's doing really cool stuff.
Oh,
and you got
yeah.
just There's this just rad, dude. Like it's just, and then, you know, I mean, even I don't know what's going on with Let's Talk Paintball at this point. Maybe he's out again. I'm not sure, but like, you know, Let's Talk Paintball, and then you got whatever, everybody, dude, like Iconic, and then I mean, you know, even I know you and Will Ball for Soup had some issues or whatever, but it's that there's just a lot. There's a lot of people that care so much about this thing that I've cared about for so long, dude. I'm 46, bro. I've gave a shit about paintball since I was 15 years old. Like I love this thing, and to see this much energy here again, you know, and it's because everyone's like, oh, the early 2000s were the golden age, and I was like, that wasn't really the golden age. Like that was the like, let's light a lot of money on fire and see what we can like play some jazz with this age.
But the flames look good in the rear view mirror, though. Like, you know, it looks great from history standpoint.
Dude, yeah. Again, I know I do a lot of storytelling stuff, but one of my favorite sayings ever, because my old man used to tell me when I was working 3 jobs and trying to play pro paintball and traveling all the time, partying, whatever, just doing all sorts of crazy stuff. Like, you know, he's like, you know, son, the candle that burns at both ends will not last the night. And then I was like, okay, you know, that's a cool little saying. Okay, let me try not to burn the candle at both ends. That's a wise thing to tell your son at that time period in my life. Whatever, cool. And then as I, you know, started to read books and kind of learn, you know, literature and stuff, I found the other part of that quote, which is, the candle that burns at both ends will not last the night, but oh, my foes and my friends, it gives off such a beautiful light. And dude, like, you know, it's so, yeah, you know, but that's like all paintball teams, some paintball careers, some paintball companies. It's like you said, you know, in the rearview mirror, as you're lighting it all on fire, man, that bonfire looks really pretty.
Yeah.
But having been a part of a lot of bonfires, I mean, as much as I'd like warming myself by that warmth of and be appreciated of that, I would rather build like a fucking paintball nuclear reactor where we can draw energy from it. So that's what I've been trying to work on here for a long period of time. Because, you know, that's just a more, again, it's about sustainability. It's about, you know, trying to make something real and exist for a long period of time. I mean, people are still driving over Roman roads. So
that's crazy. You know, yeah,
because they built them the right way. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like trying as hard as I can with, you know, I'm not a rich dude. I don't come from money. I don't have, like, I've just been able to make it through this because I, you know, try to have something to say and try to be valuable to people, and care a lot about it. But I would like to build something that will, you know, can thrive instead of just being a cool bonfire we look at when you're old and go, that was a dope ass flame.
Yeah, that was a cool 2 years in time, and then what
a rad explosion, you know. It's like,
yeah, I mean, it's interesting because that's definitely when you kind of ask people who were there during that time, it's always the similar answer of, well, that was the golden era, and it's, you know, was it really? And I think it was from many standpoints, but, you know, from a sustainability standpoint, that was never going to work. And so it's trying to figure out what is happening now. And, you know, shout out to Tom. I know Tom is always trying to figure out what is that next version that's going to work, that's going to, you know, be here in 20, 30 years instead of just 5 or 10. So yeah, we always got to give, you know, props to him, because it's not easy doing what he's trying to do, pull the boat, and he's been doing it for years. I mean, like I said, I've been researching back in the 90s a little bit. When the first MPPL was formed, Tom Cole was one of the names listed there. So it's, you know, these guys, that he loves it. He obviously is here trying to make it a better thing because he's, you know, kind of like Maddy, and devoted his life to it at this point.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, love Tom Cole. He's got a really tough job, man. Like, you're gonna take shots from everybody, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's part of it, man. You're gonna have to develop a thick skin, which he does. But I've seen how the sausage is made, and I've worked with everyone, man. Like, not necessarily everybody, but a large percentage of the people that have been the power players in paintball for a long period of time, or at least knew people that knew those dudes, you know. So it's like I kind of seen the sausage made, and to be honest, like, I really feel that when you do peel those layers back, there is goodness at its core. These people do care. They really do. They're all human, and not everything's maybe going to be done the best way historically. When you know, again, this way longer, and do have to go put my 3-year-old kid to bed at some point in time here soon. But yeah, I mean, you know, Tom he's a paintball guy, and he wants to put on a good paintball tournament, and that's what the NXL does. I mean, to be honest, like, yeah, like they are part of the, you know, they have to help grow the game, but at the end of the day, their responsibility is to put on an amazing paintball tournament for the best of the best. That's their job. That's what you pay the NXL to do. When you pay, you know, it's like it's it's more expensive to go to an NXL. It's gonna be harder to go and attend that, because that's the tip of the spear. You know, that's where the best teams go. So, you know, and that's their imperative. That's the fiduciary responsibility, or the actual responsibility they have to their consumer. And they put on a pretty good paintball tournament, you know, and if they don't, they, you know, took it on the chin, and they do. Like, I know the setup crew, I know Tom, like I know Chris Rail, like I know these people. These are not bad people, man. They don't have bad incentives in mind. They really don't.
But stuff gets twisted on the internet.
Well, look, they have to run a business. You know, it's like shit has to, you know, you have to be able to create, again, like I said, like, you know, are we having a real conversation, or are we fucking around? You know, like, are we having a real serious conversation about something? Because, you know, we can sit around and can bullshit and tell stories and stuff, but when you sit in a meeting with somebody and you're trying to accomplish a goal, you have to be able to have a serious conversation with them. Those are serious people. I mean, they have to go to a city, get things set up, deal with that actual city, deal with all the different
local
things
government maybe to get that land, and
all of that. Very
so
difficult, you know. Yeah, and then if you're Chris Rail, you have to process thousands and thousands of people every year
to have them on a system,
you have all the schedules, make sure the scorekeepers. Again, it's is all of this perfect? Nothing's fucking perfect, man. You know, like, what's perfect? Show me do we have anything that's perfect? I don't know of anything I can point to.
I mean, yeah, and everyone's gonna say like other sports. Well, other sports people call for that, you know, all the time, like reffing on this, or, you know, this rule on this, the whole Liberty University thing when they couldn't go to a bowl, and it's like, so nothing's perfect. So why are we giving these guys such hard times at times?
Yeah, and look, whatever, that's fine. It comes with the territory, dude. If we mess something up at Go Sports, we'll hear it, you know, like that. Hey, dude, welcome to doing things in the world. That's part of it, you know. It's
especially
okay.
Today
fine.
With social media, it's heightened.
But it's just kind of like, okay, you know, when you walk out in the rain, you're gonna get wet. It's just kind of part of being in the rain, dude. So if you walk out into the rain and you're wet and you're sitting like, why? I'm so pissed. My shirt is dripping and my hat and the shoes. Like, dude, what did you think was gonna happen?
Yeah.
You know,
bring an umbrella.
Walked out into the rain. You're in the rain, dude. Like, it's raining. So when you put things into the world, not everyone's gonna like it. You know, not everyone likes how I do commentary. Not everyone's gonna like Dynasty. Not everyone's gonna like your guys' show. Like, that's okay.
Of course, yeah.
Do it anyway. You know, do it anyway. Because it's like paintball. You know, if you need to be able to do it, it's a little bit different with paintball because you have to be able to do it well a lot of times in a row. But you know, we just
a little higher consistency.
A lot higher consistency. But you know, so not exactly metaphors a little bit, but still, you know what I'm trying to say though. You know, it's like when we have somebody on the squad, it's like, dude, they're gonna mess up occasionally, and they're not always gonna. Maybe they'll have a bad tournament, but. You know, man, he was really good last year, so let's give him another run. You know, anyway, there's different ways to look at this, but yeah, I just want to let everyone know, as somebody that has been behind the scenes for a long time, trying to do the best we can. Like, these people really do truly have the best of it, and intentions are not what, you know. Obviously, again, things get put into the world, but they're trying. They really are trying. And you know, whatever, you don't like that, you want to criticize, criticize. This is America, man. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah,
totally fine.
Well, for sure. No, and
I
I think
to back up what you say in argument, because
that's a Marshall household rule over there. But yeah, I think we're definitely gonna, you know, kind of start to let you go with that. Maddy, we appreciate your time tonight. I think there was definitely some great stuff in that conversation there. I know we all had more questions and stuff lined up, so
I gotta look. Just give me like, I don't know, maybe got like 10 more minutes. If
10 more minutes or so?
Okay. You got another question?
Well, Hatch, I know he had a couple lined up. I was going to let him get one in.
Here we go. All right. So, with all the people that you've seen come and go in the paintball world, obviously you've been in here for the better side of probably 20 years in the commentator booth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, what is the most common trope you see among long-lasting individuals in the pro scene?
Yeah, he's got him thinking on that one.
Yeah.
Hey, you never thought that'd come from me, huh?
Well, now when you say like define trope a little bit more, because
Like,
that
what is like a characteristic that you see among a lot of like the higher echelon of players that keep them around longer?
longevity or
Yes.
skill? Well, you kind of need skill to have longevity,
Yeah.
but there's levels to that too, because there's guys that will stay around for a long period of time and not be on like a top team, but they're still good enough to be a pro, and they're still good. They haven't like been on a team that to win. I think that it's not like a one specific. I guess the first thing that comes to mind is like gumption.
Okay.
Well, some people hate that word, and which it's not like the nicest word to have roll off your tongue, but go Google it and then tell me that that's not like important to a successful life or being successful in anything. But or some sort of like mental tenacity to be able to persevere in stressful situations. And then because you have like it just to be good, if we're talking about just the pros, right? So you already have enough of a skill set and enough of a work ethic to get to that point. But to stay there, you have to be a little elastic in what your role is into, because very few people will stay in one position forever. Even on teams, sometimes you're the guy and you're playing all the time. Sometimes you won't be playing as much. Sometimes you'll go back to playing. I mean, look at like a San Monville on Heat. That guy is like, and he before in Philly, he was, played, he was one of their guys on Philly, and then, then Heat starts, and he had a really good first of, they helped him win. I think it was Phoenix. Anyway, but then decided he didn't want to do it anymore. So then he coached and then came back. So it's, but he's been around the whole time. Or a guy like Shane Howell, who's played on a ton of different teams, and Shane Howell's like 5 years old. Like, dude is super old. But no, I love Shane. I'm just messing with it, but I'm old too, bro. But he's got me by a bit.
Speaking of Shane, it was announced. I mean, I saw moments before we started the show that Shane was moving to Uprising. So, that definitely, going from Diesel back to a Pacific Northwest team.
Remember my bold prediction? I said Uprising's gonna get that gumption and they're gonna win an event this year. I truly think they will.
We made our predictions last show, and that was Hatches.
I love Uprising, man. I remember sitting there we were in France one year when they were semi-pro and they had just won France, and we were, you really do circle the wagons when you go overseas when you're with all the Americans. And so you kind of, you're here? Oh, cool. Like, where are you guys staying? Are you, same hotel? Tight. All right. You want to meet at the bar across the street later? Oh, yeah, let's do that. So, or the hotel bar, whatever, you just kind of hang out with those dudes. And so I was hanging out with the Uprising guys, and Tommy Tucker was like, hey, Matty, we're going pro next year. Some of the guys didn't want to do it, not because they were scared, but because they were kind of leery of the repercussion. More expensive. Like the lifespan of a pro team can be short if it's not successful, whatever. But Tommy was like very, when I talk about that spark that some humans have, that intensity, Tommy Tucker had a spark of intensity. It was impressive. And sure enough, they went pro. So ever since then, like watching them win that tournament and then hanging out with those guys, I was like, I really like these guys. And it's been fun to see their career. I mean, I would like them to be, I don't know what they need to do, whether it's, because it gets harder as you get older, but so I don't know if they need to have more practices, play more pro teams. Again, I don't know. I don't know what they need to do, but they keep underperforming based on that talent level and what we've seen out of them in years past. I love Shane. He's a great team guy, and they have a ton of talent on that team. I look at that team, like on their starting 5-6 guys, and I'm like, man, there's like no reason why at some point in time they shouldn't be going deep on a Sunday. So, yeah, and they know that.
No, and that's
anyway. But I'm a fan. I just want them to do. As a fan, I want Uprising to do better than they did last year. And I think they have the talent.
Well, and I think bringing Shane in definitely, if you're for kind of an experience and for a team morale and that standpoint, I think he can help with that. Teams trying to go deep, as that was a job that he played a lot on DMG, not only being the starting snake a lot of time, but also, hey, listen up, guys. I've been in this situation kind of before. Let's play to this, or let's do this. And, that was definitely something that he showed a lot of during his time with DMG. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
And he's been, again, to your question, he's been around a long time, and it's been, people love Shane. He's been on 10-mans. Shane's awesome, dude. He's been a stud for a long time. In fact, we were going back to that. That's how long Shane's been around. We were going to play Bob Long's Ironman for or Bob Long's Assassins at the time for first and second place in that Miami event. Sure enough, who I was bullshitting with right before we went out to play that game was Shane Howell. Like who was
bringing it
playing
full
on Bobby's
circle.
team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's
like
awesome. And he probably looked the same. Like he looked identical.
Exactly the same, dude. Exactly the same. Like I have no hair now. I have a gray beard. I had hair and a brownish, reddish, blackish beard back in the day. He looks exactly the same. I'm like, this is not fair, bro.
Oh yeah, the man doesn't age.
but when you, I don't know. Again, this is part of the thing about paintball, man. Like you, be somebody people can count on. Be willing to accept what you have to give from your talent and skill and work perspective with a team, and you're going to find a way. And so it's just kind of like having the mental tenacity to do all those things, because that's kind of the tough thing about it, because you can have this or have that, but if you are focused on enjoying what this does bring to your life and willing to endure the stresses and receive the benefits, and understand that's a push and a pull, and sometimes it's going to suck, sometimes it's going to be good, and be able to also then work with the people within in your life too that also have to bear the brunt of you doing this.
Yeah.
But again, that all just comes down to mental tenacity. So to be honest, the most important thing of all, the most important skill is mental tenacity. That is the most possible you could have, period.
Okay.
I like that. Mental tenacity. All right. I'm gonna write that down in my notebook. Try to learn that one.
No, that's a good one. I like the gumption call out too. I love that. But Brandon, let's give you a chance. One last question for Maddie before we about to bounce out of here.
Yeah. At World Cup, brand new technology that we saw for the webcast was the telestrator, right?
Yeah.
Now, did you have control of that?
No, Steven, we brought a guy in specifically, and shout out to Steven to do that specifically. He's done some content for us at Go Sports. He's got his own show. He's great, man. He loves the game. So we basically, because he had done some stuff for us, like he's a guy that understands, and this is the thing, man, like, the heart doesn't do what the lungs do, the tongue doesn't do what the nose does. It requires all these things for me to ambulate around and be able to be me in the world. Mm-hmm. And so it's the same thing with a big organism like Go Sports, so Darren Sesenya, shout out to the Iceman, because that dude never breaks. But he, because we've worked with a lot of different telestrators, but he's like our technical director. He comes up with a lot of these creative technical solutions. And we're like, it would be dope if we had this. He's like the dude that actually makes that happen. Or find somebody that can, Darren's badass, or find someone that can make that happen, So with that, we had a meeting right before the event where we kind of sat around and discussed like how we wanted to integrate it into the show, where we wanted to go with it, how we were going to do the workflow, because I'm talking because in the past I would have access to the telestrator, but it's tough because we're just that's not best practice ideally, in this with something like paintball. With something like football, where there is no split deck and it's a little bit more cut and dry with the plays, and you're only watching two teams, or
there's more time between each play, and you have time to set things up.
Well, and you're not also doing it in the middle of a play. A football play happens like this, and then a paintball play could be literally 20 minutes long. We had a game that went 0-0. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So to be able to do that, and then also, because everyone has the ball at any given time. So when you go to that context shot, so when we look at the show, you got a context shot, like a wide shot, a mid shot, and then a close shot, right? The closer we go, the closer we punch in on something, the better it's going to look. The farther out we go, the more context you get. But the problem is that when you go all the way out to a drone shot that can actually get the entire field, everyone becomes an ant. So, and then all these things are happening at different times. So anyway, long story short, you add some tech to that. So Darren finds, and also, like we said, technology keeps improving. And so the telestrators have gotten better and better and better, and the software has gotten better and better and better. But to get Steve in there, whose sole job was to, do the telestration. So he's got me in his feed. He's got the director over here. He can see the cameras. and I can see different cameras too. We just had that integrated in at Cup because it's tough to see all the angles because there's, you know, photographers and the camera shit and like all this different stuff in the way. And, you know, so anyway, so that's kind of that was the workflow of something like that. You know, so we would then, he's listening to that, and we would then discuss things as the tournament progressed through the 5 days. Like, oh, cool, that was really cool. Let's do more of that. Hey, anytime we go wide, we go to that drone shot. Get the positions in there every time. That's a go-to. Drone shot high, we go to position. You know, so we would come down. I'm like, you know, we got to do this. We got to do that. He's like, what about that? What about this? Let's do it because we don't have a lot of breaks sometimes. You know, it's a long ass day, and then so that just kind of evolved, and that's kind of how that workflow went down. So yeah, shout out to Darren. Yeah. Shout out to Drone Matt flying the drone, and big shout out to Steven as he did a great job, you know, kind of absorbing all that information, trying to get that for everyone.
Okay, so when I was thinking about that, I didn't consider the fact that, you know, football, yes, does have the breaks in between each play, and because I was imagining like you and Rich like being the John Madden and the Al Michaels of paintball, you know, I could see Rich going boom, bang, you know, just like John Madden, and then you're the more, you know, sound guy. You're the more sound one, yeah.
Yeah, it's a part I play on Ghost.
But it totally makes sense that it's just constant, and yeah, with the split deck, it's gonna be hard. So it makes sense that's not, I don't want to say a third party, but someone else has complete control over that.
Well, it's the thing is that it's, you know, it's multiple, you're interacting with this software and this screen, right? So you're looking at it, you have to put manually put the stuff out there, do all this. It's not like just hit a button and it all works. You know, all that's being manually put in. And the problem is that as we're I'm as the game's developing and we're doing commentary, so you got the break, you know, it's like 3-act structure, breakout, mid game, end game, right? So as that's going down, we're trying to paint that picture and tell that story. I got all my notes. Like I always have, like anytime I do a show, I got, my wife calls my tweaker notes, where it's like I have accessible information. I got my computer up, you know, so it's like I got rosters, I got historical data, I got this information, all this stuff. Like we don't have that big staff. Like, shit, I compile. And so, you know, so I have all this sort of stuff, and so we're looking, you know, I'm looking at the screen that's, you know, what you're looking at home on the they call that the program feed. So it's a program feed, a couple different other angles. So we have that snake angle now that I can look at because we have a camera tower in the way. And then so I'm watching the play develop, kind of just weaving this narrative together, getting the co-hosts involved. So be able to manipulate the telestrator in real time would be almost fucking impossible.
Yeah,
that's
too much. So much brain energy already. Well, and then
I mean, it's just because I'd be sitting there like trying to do this as I'm talking, and
it takes you away from the game.
Or I got to rack up Rich, because sometimes I'll have to grab a piece of info to put it to thread it into the narration, whatever that may be, and or you know something's coming up, or you know, so I will literally look at Rich and be like, and he'll just start talking, and then I gotta handle something, maybe something broke, whatever it is. Yeah. And then, we have these kind of like hand signals and stuff. It's like, if I need you to shut up because I got to get to a sponsor read, or or they're like, Matty, we're out in 20, bro, let's go. Like it's whatever it may be. Then I'll like squeeze your thigh. I always tell the dude, if you're sitting next to me, I'm like, hey man, I'm not coming on to you. I'm going to be squeezing your thigh if I need you to shut up.
I need to talk.
That means like, that literally just means finish your sentence. So, if you're going on about this or that and you feel a squeeze, you're like, yeah. And then I said,
it was great. Okay.
Yeah, and then still because we got they're like 10, 9, as I'm like counting it down, squeezing the dude's thing because we got to get out because there's a 2-minute break and we got a bit to run, whatever. It's just chaos.
There's stress going on up there, and I think that's something that maybe a lot of people don't know if they're not from a production background. Is like there's a lot going on, especially just being up in the booth. There's a lot of different variables that are going on up there for the show to run smoothly, and you need different guys doing graphics, different guys doing, the telestrator, different people just switching all the different cameras. Like every man needs to have their job, just kind of like paintball, you got to do your job. And if you do your job, the whole program's going to work out great.
I got to commentate one semi-pro match. So yeah, I kind of feel 1/50th of your pain, Matty. I got to commentate one semi-pro match.
Who was it? What was the game? Was it good? I hope it was a good one.
It was okay. Nothing too crazy. It was Missouri All-Stars versus a French team, and then BZ Fearless versus I don't know who they were playing.
He's already forgot.
Yep.
Couldn't have been that good.
Fast. It was not. I'm just like, all right, these guys are just go run into the snake. That's it. All right.
Well, the reason why I asked if it was good or not is because commentating gets a lot easier if it's a good game.
Yes.
If it's a bad game, and when I mean bad, I mean like boring, where nothing much happens, then you really have to stretch. Or if something breaks, you got to stretch. That's literally one of the things. So you're in my ear. So I have a talk back button, so I can talk to the production crew. They can talk to me. No one can hear that. All goes well. Occasionally, some wires will get crossed, and I'll get a text message, and they'll be like, "We can hear the producer in here." Great. But you know, so that sometimes if I have to, it's literally just called stretch. But I just have to just start
as a camera off. I've given that signal to people.
Yeah. But I just call it. You know, when I talk to people, like when, you know, so Rich has been doing it for a while. Todd's, you know, one of my best guys ever. I fucking love Todd Martinez. He's amazing at it. You know, Nick, Sylvia. I've worked with Chris Lasoya. We've had a lot of different guys, but the guys I've worked with a lot, they kind of know the ins and outs of it, the flow of it, how it works, what we're supposed to say and when, and you know, it's a verbal tennis match, et cetera, et cetera. That's like a whole nother conversation. I could break that down. But yeah, but when something breaks, you know, it's like if they're filling bunkers or we got to wait for whatever, I just turn it into a podcast. That's all. Then my brain just goes podcast. And but the producer will come on and be like, Matty, stretch, bro. Sorry, stretch. Maybe 5 minutes. I don't know. I'll get back to you. And then sometimes they may be fixing something too. So now they're gone and we're just on air live. And I'm like,
just hanging out, kind of. So just Rich, all right, we're spinning the tail.
Let's go back to point 2. Let's break point 2 down a little bit more.
Oh, I have heard that one a couple times.
Yeah, you know, so because I mean, there's no choice. I can't just be like, guys, this is boring. Sorry, we're out. You know, like
there's no commercial button.
Yeah, if
you're right back.
Yeah, I mean, and the production crew knows, hey, if you know, like if it, because you know, we don't want to stretch too much and make it, you know, because again, at the end of the day, the ultimate, like everyone serves somebody, right? So when you're on a Tom Cruise movie, like everyone's there for Tom Cruise, because Tom Cruise knows that he serves the audience, you know. So it's like, you know, with the people playing, us speaking, like I always try to, you know, I want to do the best job I possibly can because this is about, you know, because I was a fan too. I was that kid that showed up to watch the game. You know, I used to have to walk into the woods, you know, and leave the old dudes on Navarone to go watch the Ironman play, and then they come find me like, Matty, what are you doing? Let's go, dude. The cars are leaving. Like, we've been looking for you for 30 minutes. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, yeah, I know, but I wanted to watch the Ironman play. So, so you know, we serve the audience. So it's like I don't want them to be bored. So they know that if we can cut to a commercial, but sometimes you can't, bro. Sometimes you're just stuck and you got to just stretch.
Well, I think of some of the best examples of that. If anyone's ever watched an F1 race, the way their contracts work is they don't have any commercials during the race. So if it goes to a red flag, it's just live television. So there's been times they've had to fill an hour and a half of just find something to talk about. Like,
podcast, bro.
Yeah, and it's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
No, those are some great moments, but continue. I'm sorry.
Nah, it's part of it, man. I mean, again, that's just kind of like kind of part of the. It's very difficult when it's happening sometimes, and you got to just get through it, but and do the best you can. Like if a game's going bad and you're losing 6-1, well, get out there and take your beatings, dude. You know, like somebody's got to.
Still have to go play the 8th point.
Yeah, the show must go on. So, but then when you look back on it, some of the worst events we've ever had, super muddy, things broke, whatever, just chaos is like, those are the ones I remember most after doing all these shows over the years. So, you know, but that's just life.
Yeah. A little bit of type 2 fun.
Yeah, if it does, you know, as long as we made, like when you're climbing up into the tower in a thunderstorm and you see a lightning strike like a mile down the road and we're not stopping, and I'm like, okay, all right, here we go. Let's go. Let's end.
We're
3,
just
2, 1.
adding another story to the book right now.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're here at the Texas Open, and I may be dying next hour. Just letting everybody know.
But it's gonna happen live, so let's get right into it.
Yeah. So whatever. It's just kind of part of the get you jazzed up. It's part of the fun.
Well, for sure. Matty, I mean, we've used you up for all your time today. I know you got to get back to your family, and I definitely appreciate it. You've stayed longer than you said Seriously. You would.
My pleasure.
Definitely, we appreciate it. There was, you know, some great things talked about on this podcast. maybe some more stuff we got to go into because there was a couple topics and notes that I wasn't able to pick your brain about just yet. But yeah, maybe, I don't know, midway through the year we'll get like a mid-season recap with Maddy or something like that. That'd be awesome to do.
Yeah, I just love what you guys are doing. It's really cool because it's I don't know, used to joke around. I'm like, hey boys, here's a dull machete and a dim torch. We've been trying to hack our way that way for a while. If you guys feel like we need to go this way, go for it. But like, thank you guys for showing up here to help whack this this tunnel out of the darkness.
Yeah, you're like, I've been doing this with my back for 20 years, so I'm glad there's at least someone helping now.
So I'm stoked. It's I'm always down to do these shows. So if you guys, whenever you want me on, if I can fit into the schedule, I would be happy to come on, talk shop. There's always stuff to talk about. I mean, I always bring my notes and love, kind of breaking all this stuff down. It is nice to, I'm typically one asking the questions, so it's nice to be asking some questions. I don't have to quarterback the deal, so that's always fun for me.
Just kind of go with the flow, see where it happens.
Yeah, it's great. But yeah, good conversation. Thank you guys so much for having me on, and keep hacking us in the direction of making people give a shit, because at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah, well, of course, man. We'll let you go. We are gonna continue going on with our show for just a little bit longer in the night, but yeah, we will be right back with you audience in just a few moments here.
I also thought that it was pretty crazy. Like, one thing that I kind of wanted to say, paintball is kind of like this, like the simulation, that you can put yourself in, where you're not really like at fucking death's door at war. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like you can put these simulations together where it's like, all right, we're both at war at the same time at the same place. Well, this point I prevailed in this battle.
You're not. That's kind of the thing I was saying with like it allows you to do that safely.
Yeah,
because it's like everyone knows that feeling of, if you ever played a scenario or if you've ever played in the woods, there's something so heart pounding about being in the woods with a gun and ammunition against other people who have guns and ammunition and want to hurt you. Like,
this has got to be like looked into like a study. That feeling when, obviously I've never been to war, so I don't know if this happens at war, but it definitely happens when I play hide and seek. Whenever you guys are like, you find a god tier hiding spot and you are like, dude, this is the greatest spot ever, they're never gonna fucking find me, and then dude, you just gotta piss like a motherfucker. Like, what is that phenomenon?
Dude,
what is that?
So we used to play Manhunt in our like neighborhood way back in the day, and so literally it would be like a whole neighborhood hide and seek. So it wasn't just like an area. Yeah, but similar thing probably. So literally it would be like, all right, get dressed in all black, like go find a hiding spot, and then there'd be like a team in a car that would be like trying to get everyone. Shit. Dude, that's funny. So
different names, but same culture.
Same culture. Yeah, we're from the same culture,
Yeah, same shit.
North Cal, or Central California stuff. But no, dude, freaking yeah, we used to play that back in the day, and I totally remember that feeling where you'd like jump into something, you'd be hiding, you'd be like, this is great.
Oh, I gotta go.
You're like, fuck, I gotta piss, bro. Like, goddamn. And then you're doing the little like,
when you realize you're on like the roof of like a 2-story building, and you're like, man, there's no room to piss up here.
Dude, the other thing we used to do, did you guys ever just like climbing shit? Like, was that ever just a part of your life?
I went through I think every kid went through like a parkour phase, Well,
parkour, but so what my friend group would do is we would just go back to our high school and just climb the school. So we had like a really tall theater, and so like it was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 stories tall, and we just climb that bitch, like team climb it. Like there'd be a section I remember in my head where it was like a really long wall that you had to pretty much scale up. And so we'd send up the best dude first, and then he'd do like the hang down, grab, pull you up. So it was like, dude, we were doing like video game cinematics trying to get up this
I feel so
theater
bad
building.
For that one fat friend at the very bottom. Damn, that motherfucker's missing out on the view.
No, the last guy always up was Brad. Shout out Bradley DeBalos. Shout out, bro. But he was the shortest, but he could jump the highest. So we could like dangle a dude down, and so he would just jump super high, and we just grab his arms and try to like pull him up. Dude, it was no, but like I don't know why. That was just something every teenage dude loved to do. We just climb and like see different shit.
I don't know what it is with schools, but that's just the shit to climb, bro. I think it's just because you're not allowed to do it during like while you're there.
True, but also like, where else are we gonna climb? Like, we're not gonna climb people's homes. Like, I don't know. Like that feels more. It feels more intrusive, kind of, right?
It's not like, it's not like I'm gonna go into the city and climb like a fucking skyscraper or anything. It's like there's no. Yeah. School is like the perfect middle ground. Have
you seen that guy? There's a dude on IG who's just straight up climbing buildings, and it's a crazy law because So I figured this out. The reason he's allowed to do it is because buildings, they have to trespass you before they can issue trespassing on you, if that makes sense.
If it's your first warning, you're good.
Exactly. And since he's climbing the building, they can't give him a
tell
warning
him.
until he's done. So as long as he doesn't climb the same building twice, he legally cannot be fined for trespassing. I was like, that's beautiful.
It's crazy.
That's some G shit right there.
So yeah, I love that.
That's
Huh.
I always wonder
no.
what kind of loopholes like that I can get away with like every single day.
There are some good loopholes out there in the world. Brandon, why don't you tell us about a couple of those as being a surgeon?
Loopholes in search. What the fuck? Yeah, no.
Do you give me like a new kidney or something? Like, what do I gotta do?
Brando, what is the scariest thing that's actually happened in like the OR that's like that you've heard? Maybe you've heard this through the grapevine, right? Maybe obviously probably hasn't happened in your studio or whatever the fuck you want to call it. But,
operating room.
Yep. Right. Yep. Operating.
Theater.
Yep.
It's a theater. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But honest question, Brandon, has anyone ever coded in front of you?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. It's fucking heart pounding.
Yeah, you want to talk about adrenaline? Like, yeah.
Dude. Holy shit. It was wild. Yeah.
You know,
I mean, what was that experience?
I almost want to ask a way more insensitive question now.
Here, hold on to that hatch. Yeah,
Okay.
hold on. Are we back?
We are.
recording?
We are. Yeah. I
Alright,
picked
cool.
the time code because we just started talking.
I figured. Cool. Yeah. How was that? It was. Oh, dude. It was crazy. It was fuck. We did.
Have you ever talked through it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I talked, a bit to Michelle about it. Like the next day. I remember I'll tell you afterwards really quick, and then I'll get into it. Afterwards, I called her. I called Michelle. Didn't say much, and it was a 45-minute drive home. At night, it was like 7-8 o'clock at night. On the phone, and I didn't say much. And she was all right. I was like, no, I don't really want to talk, but
It's the presence.
I want you to be there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's like I can't be alone right now. I don't know what to say, but I just know that I can't be alone. Like, this is weird.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't have to say anything. I just want you there. I want you here. And yeah, got home and like I was just laying in bed, just like fuck. And then I talked to my mom like a couple days later because she's been in situations of people coding and doing.
Is she also in
CPR
medical
and
field,
stuff.
I'm guessing.
She was before she moved. But yeah, but what had happened? It was this patient broke her hip, broke their hip, and so we were going to replace just half of the hip, not the whole hip, called a hemi, and
Orthopedic
so
surgery
we're
is
doing
weird.
that. Yeah.
We're gonna just half of it. We're just gonna make it metal, and it's gonna be great. And it's like, what? Okay.
Yeah. Just so we were. What we did, we cut the head the head of the femur off, and then we were putting a new femur in, essentially. And
just
came
fixing out a leaf spring on a car. Same shit.
Just a little bit.
Can you put in another person's bone into another person's body and it'd be fine?
I don't think
kinda ish.
Like,
but wouldn't it reject
Could you
that?
have my femur? Could you have my femur?
I mean, hypothetically, sure. Yeah. I mean, there's human.
If we were the exact same shit, like the exact same
blood
weight,
type, all
height,
that stuff.
everything,
Yeah.
Would you be able to just take my whole femur?
Probably. I mean, it's not going to be like just
It's not a plug and
pull out
play.
and put right in the hand. Yeah.
Plug and play.
There's but probably. I mean, probably some pieces.
You gotta ask that. You gotta ask
soft tissue and everything.
Your other doctor.
I'll ask.
colleagues.
Start
ask
asking
tomorrow.
your surgeon very disturbing and detailed questions,
Dude,
and have him
it's-
answer those.
No, so
Yeah,
like your silence on the car ride makes me think, Brando. It makes me think like, did you? Damn, I'm not gonna fucking ask that. Never mind. Never
What?
fucking mind.
What?
Ask
Ash?
Did you see the life leave their eyes?
No. So
They were knocked out, right?
So
Well, if you fucking die,
they
you
were
still
asleep.
die.
Well, all right. So we put the femur in, or the implant in, and as the surgeon's closing, the anesthesiologist gets like a couple other anesthesia personnel in, and they get a machine in, do an echo, and then start trying to start a central line, and all of a sudden, like,
did you understand the things you just said? Because he just went into doctor terms.
No,
He
yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
I do.
you got an echo, central line.
Sorry.
No, you're
just,
good.
Yeah, and he tells the surgeon like, "Hey, she has no pulse. Like, you got to hurry up." And because
We've to try to revive her now, not fix her.
And I have never seen a surgeon close so fucking fast. Oh my god! And thankfully, I was with another tech was in there with years of experience. And he like immediately, it was my case, but he realizes the situation. I never been in that situation. Like,
kind of.
He took over. He goes, he steps in. He goes, "Hey, this is what we're gonna do." And as he's like getting everything situated, we're gonna close really quick. You're gonna keep everything sterile. We're gonna help them flip, and then we're gonna start CPR. And I was like, "Fucking cool with me."
Yes, Dad.
And so we do that. He helps him close within what felt like 2 or 3 minutes.
Damn, that's quick.
It was stupid ass, and dressed and everything. And then I move everything aside, and they rip the drapes down. I start pulling the positioner off, and then we flip the patient on their back, and immediately, like, surgeon goes into CPR and chest compressions, and they talk about how deep you have to go, and the body's going to recoil. And it's one thing to see in the video, and the dummy doesn't obviously do it justice.
They go crazy.
Yes, like seeing the body be put through that was
traumatizing,
wild.
Honestly.
Yeah, and then 30 other people bust in through the doors with machines, and like now everyone's in a rotation to do chest compressions, and we were getting the patient back. Did 4 rounds of CPR. They get a heartbeat, she code. Get a heartbeat, code, and did it several times, and then got them stable enough that they were able to transport them to the ICU. So like the last time I saw the patient alive, perfect, like cool, like scary situation. They're stable enough. It's not like, all right, like they're gonna live. It was just like stable enough to get them to where they need to be to if anything else happens.
Yeah, as long as like this isn't our problem anymore. Like we've stemmed bleeding, kind of. Yeah,
like this is not where we're not. This isn't our ideal situation. Our work is done. And then come to find out 2 days later, they didn't make it that night. That night they passed away, and it was like, damn, that's all right. It was that was a lot. Yeah, so.
All for a hip.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Half a hip.
Dude, I mean, they weren't gonna walk if we didn't do it, and it was bad.
Point, fucking Gypsy Rose my ass to put me in a wheelchair.
Gypsy Rose.
It's so much pain. But I will. There was another case. I was in the hospital I was in. That day I was in the outpatient center, like kind of in the basement essentially.
Okay. Oh, scary.
And the main OR up on the second floor of the main hospital, the main building, the outpatient center was really slow, and instead of sending me home, the main OR asked if there was extra techs that could help go give breaks. So I go up there, and come to find out they have like all their extra techs that were scheduled to give breaks in a room where someone had an emergency AAA, an abdominal aortic aneurysm, AAA.
So Nationwide was not on their side. You said AAA. I was trying to think of an insurance company. That's the best I could do. Because all I know is like I asked you a question and I'm like, oh shit, we were 15 minutes deep. Oh god.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I mean, it seems like a heavy ass fucking thing to deal with a little bit. Like, yeah.
It can be, yeah. But that patient, it was, I gave breaks. And it was the AAA. It's the big major blood vessel like comes from your heart, pumping blood all the way through your body, and everything else branches out from that is your aorta, and in your stomach, or it's a big blood vessel, and you get an aneurysm in there, and it bursts. You're dying in probably minutes. It's an emergency.
Well, is an aneurysm? Is that a pocket of air or?
No, so it's a weakened wall in your blood vessel. So like the muscle in your blood vessel probably breaks or something that allows blood to get trapped.
It's like, say, a rubber hose, and then that hose blows out on the side, and all your blood, instead of going to your legs and shit, is just going into you.
Into you, yep. And there's nothing to stop it. And it's so big that it's pouring out.
Yeah. Goddamn. It's like that dude, the hockey guy who had to have his thing pinched. What's the neck one? The jugular, right? Yeah.
No, but yes.
Okay.
His carotid.
Carotid artery. There we go. Yeah.
The freaking.
Well, because there's the two stories. There's the one recently of the dude who just got killed, but there was a one from like 10 years before that where the dude was like a GWAT veteran, and he was like, I'm gonna save you, and he just ran on the ice and pinched this dude's artery off. Yeah, that's some badass shit.
But I'll finish this
Cash, what are you gonna say? Oh, okay.
So sorry. So here, hold on. So I gave my breaks. Then I come out from giving lunches to other techs. I'm like, hey, am I good to go? They're like, hey, actually, that AAA
MCO,
they didn't make it. They didn't make it. Can you actually go relieve that tech that set up the case and did it, so that she can kind of
mellow out,
take it all in. Yeah, And I was like, yeah, I could do that. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I can do that.
I don't know. I never been in that situation either. So I walk in and I scrub them out, and first thing I notice is that anesthesia is not there. They're gone because they're no longer needed. And that was weird. It was like,
damn, that's
right.
Yeah. Because usually, because those are
moving. The world is still moving. They're needed somewhere else.
No, I know, but that's because especially in surgery shit, like they're so vital. Because if you're knocking someone out, an anesthesiologist has to be there. So if you have a person who's unresponsive and there's not an anesthesiologist there, that's a weird realization.
Yeah, they are there to keep that patient alive. Like, patient's no longer alive. Like, they're no longer needed.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It was ominous, and then the surgeon closing, it was like, it was I don't know. It was still putting resources into a patient that is no longer with us. And then I remember taking the drapes down, and like, that's a dead body. That's
essentially just trying to get it ready for the morgue at that point.
Damn, dude.
Strangely
enough, for the families to see and everything.
Yeah.
I had a really similar situation like that, like not even that long ago. This is gonna sound obviously fucking completely stupid compared to what you went through, Brando. But driving around, I'm like, me and my girlfriend were going back to her house. Fucking squirrel in the road. So
I thought this was gonna be a human. I was like,
no.
What the fuck?
No, so squirrels in the road, and I'm like, all right, well, I guess this bitch about to catch the fade, go meet God. And I'm like getting a little closer to it, and I'm like, damn, this motherfucker is not moving. And then girlfriend gets out, goes to inspect it, and she goes, oh, like, I think it was like hit by a car, right? But no blood, no nothing, right? So it's probably internally bleeding. So fucking rescued that guy and tried to nurture him back to health, but dude just died this morning. Found out.
Yeah.
Fucking squirrel did that
the
on
wild
Saturday.
Animal. That's funny. Okay.
Hey, I let him live. What is that? Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 3 extra fucking days.
Some extended care. Yeah.
So
no, I mean that's life.
There were cats circling like fucking vultures, bro. I'm not even kidding you, bro. We gave that guy a peaceful takeoff, bro. A peaceful takeoff.
Dude, have you guys seen the statistics? Like, birds or cats legitimately
shit, bro.
murder, not even torture, they legitimately murder more like birds, insects, small rodents than like any other animal. It's crazy. It's like it's billions a year, I want to say was the number that I heard. It was like 1 point something
Jesus.
billion a year of those type of animals that a common household cat kills. Those things
It's
are
a
murderers,
predator.
bro. Yeah, just living in your
what the-
house.
Honestly, bro, I feel
What?
like you
They're
think
so cute.
the stray ones, bro. Loki, those motherfuckers are pets, bro. I'm not even gonna lie.
They
Stray
can
cats?
be, yeah.
Coming up,
Damn
coming
near
up in my
invasive.
house, coming up near my house and shitting on my stuff. Like, what the fuck? About to catch the fucking paintball bright shell. You know what I'm saying?
This is some
See it coming.
Central Valley stuff. Because yeah, no, I don't have random stray cats walking up to my home in the middle of the night.
We've had one come into our house.
the middle
They
of the
just,
In the
night.
house?
like, yeah. Top of the stairs, like, what the fuck are you doing in here?
What the fuck?
You're like
the
Nova.
trespasser, dude.
Yeah,
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 that
or-
one, I'll let Nova take that over.
dude, I got to be careful when I load the paintball stuff in my car because I leave the garage door open to pack everything in, and
You're crazy.
there's some
bro.
that some come looking in, and I've trapped some in there on accident. Yeah, Michelle's mom walks in, and it's just a little cat walking around.
Damn. I'm not
209 type shit, bro. 209. Shout out 209. But yeah, guys.
bro.
I mean, damn. Okay. Well, I didn't know we were gonna get all that, Brando. That was beautiful. That was a lovely way to end the show. Talk about more mental trauma. And this is why.
Yeah, you're
When you stub your toe at the field, Brandon doesn't give a single fuck because he's just like, I've seen worse, kid. You're gonna survive.
Absolutely not. You'll be fine. Here's some tape.
His
Either
emotions
tape or
left with that
scissors,
patient.
whatever.
Tape or
Yeah.
scissors.
Yeah.
Like that's about the best. Like maybe hang a scalpel. That's isn't that? Oh
Yeah,
shit.
I mean-
oh, my light died.
We'll either splint it or cut it off. But you'll be okay.
You'll survive.
Good enough.
You'll survive.
enough.
Well, and I think that's good timing because, as I just said, my fucking light turned off. So I think my equipment's telling me we gotta wrap the show up, boys. That was amazing. We had Matty fucking Marshall on. That was crazy.
10-year-old me would never believe how far.
Was anyone
I-
else nervous? I'm gonna be honest. I was nervous as fuck.
For sure.
Yeah.
Bro, I had to put on deodorant before we started recording. I was like, dude, I'm fucking sweating my ass off, bro. Fucking meeting at Maddy Marshall.
Look, let's just be real with everyone out there. It was that was scary, but at the same time,
Dude,
that was fucking
I
awesome.
have no shame to it, dude. I have no shame to it. Like, it's 10-year-old me would have expected that. Where I'm in a call bullshitting with Maddy Marshall for an hour and a half. You know, obviously
It
not
was
even
awesome.
bullshitting, talking about serious stuff a lot of the times. But I mean, the bullshitting came after. Subscribe to Patreon for exclusive content. But yeah, that was like something I've never experienced. That was like a different type of high where I was talking to my idol that I saw growing up. You know,
Yeah.
so that was cool.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah. I don't even know what to say because like at some point I was just like, I'm just gonna let Matty talk and this is gonna be his episode of the podcast and then we're gonna come back next week and we're gonna talk.
Yeah, I'm excited.
What
I'm
are you saying,
excited
Brendan?
to
I think it was
recap
getting
it.
cut up.
Me?
Yeah, what did you say?
Were you trying to say something? I think the internet was breaking up
No,
or something
no.
like that. Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah.
I wasn't saying. It was cool. It was awesome. It was as I expected, but yet, I was nervous too. You know, because you said before that like he's one of the guys that just you point him in a direction, you wind him up, and let him go, and for sure, like that's what you do. That's what we did, and it was great. But still, it was like it's Maddy Marshall, guys.
Yeah. No, I think you. You sum up the kind of the feelings of excitement and nervousness and all that. Yeah, it was a lot, but we got through it, boys. That was episode 76 from the sidelines. We got to do a couple more things before we get out of here. We need a cool guy of the week, Brando, and then if some Brandon pulls that up, we're gonna go to Hatch for a code word of the week.
Oh, we're hitting it right now.
Yeah, might as well hit it right now because he still needs this cool guy of the week. He's pulling one up.
All right. Well, I heard Maddy Marshall say it, and instantly made me think of it. Good intentions, right? That's like when he was talking about the way how even though some people think people in the paintball industry are kind of selfish, right? But Tom Cole really does. He has great intentions for like the league and everything like that in the end game. Right?
And I like the way he put that, because he was there during the time. Well, and because he was there during the time when we, you know, like we said, we threw the money on the fire and it was great. But, you know, those are the guys who are surviving out of that and are like, okay, how do we make this so that way, like, maybe someday our kids could be playing in this league? Like, how do we have it?
Care the most.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, they're like we always say, I will disagree with Tom, but I don't hate Tom. I very much appreciate him. I'm glad that he's here. I'm glad that he's, you know, at least trying. And look, we're gonna disagree on things, but at the end of the day, someone's got to be in that seat, you know, like, so someone's got to take the flak.
If we want paintball to be successful, somebody has to be in that seat.
Yeah, and I'm glad it's not me. I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to be that.
It's not me. Thank God it's not me.
Dude, Hatch, if you had Tom Cole's job, this league would just be. It'd be a mullet mandatory league.
Honestly, it'd be rigged for teams with mullets for sure.
Lastros all of a sudden like winning D2 championships with Oni. It's like, wait, what is going on down there?
Austin Oni beats Dynasty World Cup Finals 2024. Holy shit.
It's like, it's the mullets. It's what does it all. Thanks to our new commish, Stephen Hatch.
Plus 5 speed, you know, with the mustache included, you know what I'm saying? Dude,
plus 5 speed, plus 5 accuracy. All right. Well, code word of the week. Give us it one more time. What was the phrase that we are using?
Good intentions.
Good intentions. It's kind of like good vibrations. Similar.
Yeah.
All right, have we stretched for long enough for you, Brando? See what I did there? See what I did there?
So yeah. Saw this earlier today. Actually, I was like, "Ooh, this is cool." Kind of harps back on my little childhood. But dude, this 13-year-old Willis Gibson, Willis Gibson, I guess became the first person to actually beat
Tetris. Okay, yeah, I knew we were going with that. Yeah, you see this? Yeah, you heard about this?
Yeah,
it fucking froze, and the kid's like, "Oh my god, freaking the fuck out."
Well, dude, I would too, bro. That's an insane accomplishment.
Yeah, I remember sitting down and playing a bit for me, you know, because I wasn't never as good as like my parents. But seeing them just go on and on and on, it was like that and Pac-Man. I remember them just playing that for a long time. But Tetris, it was just like, I didn't know you could beat that. I don't know. I mean, it's really fucking hard. I guess
he didn't like. I think a good way to say it, he didn't technically beat the game. Like, there is no ending. He kill screened the game, which for NES games back in the day, they could only have a certain amount of RAM because they were just, you know, super basic technology. And so essentially they would only code in a certain amount of levels. And so if you beat those levels, it just, there's no more code and it just crashes the game.
It crashes.
And so no human has ever done that. They've had like tasks, so AI and like tool assisted stuff have been able to do it before. But I mean, yeah, shout out one more time. What was his name? Willis Gibson. Dude, shout out, buddy.
Willis Gibson.
You're the FTS cool guy of the week. That's pretty dope.
It's a big title. Big deal.
That's what I'm saying. You know, we're like the Golden Gloves, you know.
Wear it with pride.
We only hand out 52 of these a year.
That game came out in 1984. 1984.
So that's it today. That's incalculable. We can't do the math. I have no clue how many years that is until today.
How many? At least 2. I don't know.
20, 40, something like that.
Sounds good to me. I don't know.
All right. Well, let's get out of here, guys. I gotta give you the rundown. Stuff I give you the rundown on every week. Go ahead, rate the show. I mean, come on, guys. We had Matty fucking Marshall on. Just rate the show. Give us 5 stars. We're trying. All right. We had Ronnie. Now we had Matty. Then we had, you know, Scott and the boys. We're getting great guests. We're trying to get great content out for you guys. The least that you guys can do, to help us out is just drop a 5-star rating or subscription on any of the platforms that you listed this on. It really does help. The metrics and the algorithm is able to push us up. So yeah, just go do it real quick. It's free. That's what we say every week. It's free. There's no money that you have to spend to do that and help us out and support the show. So we'd appreciate that. Yes, that is another thing I was going to mention later. But before we get to that, I got to talk about the Patreon. So head over to there at patreon.com/Mafia_productions. You guys might get some bonus content this week. We'll figure out what we're going to do with that. But yeah, so head over there. Go join, be a fan, be a member. If you get signed up over there, you get access to all of these shows early. You get access to all the shows without ads placed in them, and as well as some bonus content and some other things. I'm losing my mind over here. I can't speak words good anymore. But yeah, no, it's a great thing. You're gonna get a lot of free content or a lot of bonus content over there. And yeah, it's a great place to go get signed up. So go ahead over to patreon.com/Mafia_productions. Mafia_productions over there at Patreon. Head over to the merch website. That was the next thing I was going to mention, because we actually have a very special new item that's dropping today. The Stabbers Don't Get Stabbed line. The logo that you've seen over Hatch's frame on screen for quite a while is finally, yeah, it's finally a real thing.
We did it, boys.
So head over to xxbthelabel.com. The link's going to be down below in the description. Go grab them for yourself. Rock the, the Stabbers Don't Get Stabbed mantra that Hatch, and I would say Hatch, but a little bit of AK, harken back to the dude who helped start the whole show. He helped out a little bit, but yeah, that was a homegrown thing, and I'm glad that we were able to brand that and get a little piece of merchandise for that. So check that out over to XXP The Label one more time. We also have our 3 sponsors we got to talk about. We got to mention them real quick. NECTR Energy, NECTR.energy. Their URL always gets me confused, but head over to NECTR.energy. Use code MafiaProductions over there. You're going to get buy 2 get 1 free offer with free shipping. So hey, if you want to try out a couple of their flavors, they'll throw another one in that you can try out as well for free. So love them. Appreciate our boys down there. They're keeping us energized and boosted up with some great products over there. Nicotine free, no tobacco, none of that stuff in it, just caffeine and neurotropics. Thank you to the boys over at NECTR. We also got to talk about Liquid IV, liquidiv.com, LIQUID-IV. If you don't know how to spell that, then I can't help you. But head over to liquidiv.com, use code Mafia_Moffitt to get 20% off and free shipping. Good job finishing yours, Brandon. He is definitely hydrated for whatever the hell he does the rest of his night. But he's ready to go. What great flavor did you have tonight? Was it a strawberry or a golden cherry?
Golden cherry, bro.
Oh, golden cherry.
I knew it was a golden cherry.
Yeah.
Is that the strawberry bag next to you though? That one looks.
Yes, this is Michelle's. Yes.
See, my eyes did pick up a strawberry. I know, when it comes to Liquid IV products, I know what I'm talking about. But we do love them over there. They help keep us hydrated on the show and all of our days out at the field. So yeah, check them out. Liquidiv.com or liquidiv.com. Use promo code Mafia_Moffitt. Save some money, get some free shipping. We appreciate them. Last but definitely not least, weltsclothing.com. Head over to there. You're gonna get some stuff. It may get seized in New York, but it'll come to you eventually. And we can't fully tell that story, but head over to Welts Clothing. We appreciate them, their support. They've come on the show. It's been great, and yeah, getting ready to go into this kind of new year with them. Hopefully we're gonna have some brand collabs and stuff going on with them as well. But yeah, we love them. We appreciate them. Shout out to Welts Clothing. Use code FTS. Save yourself some money over there. FTS. 3 letters. It's simple. It's easy. Go do it. All right, boys. Well, that was all of my big boy things. We talked about the new shirt, so make sure you guys go pick up one of those, because that would be great. Look good. I don't know. Come up to us, say hi. These boys won't say anything, so I'm just trying to come up with shirt shit. I don't know. I'm stretching. Okay, this is what I'm doing. Thank you, Brandon. But yeah, I mean, yeah, guys, that's the show, and we did it, and it was a podcast, and so I'm glad. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for checking it out. I mean, we're gonna be back here next week. We're here every single fucking week. We have been for 76, and we're gonna be for 76 more. So now we're locked in. We at least have to do 76 more weeks, boys. That's how it goes.
I'm not moving. I'm staying right here. So,
except for when you get your new house and you finally get a PC and you can play games.
Exactly. That's after the next 76 episodes.
God damn, we're locking ourselves in for a long time. All right, boys, let's fucking end this shit. Hatch, bring us on home, man.
Bye.
We'll see you guys on the next one.